Cleveland, this is for you. Incredible game. Cleveland Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons, an epic back and forth. Down the stretch they go into overtime. What a game. Look, these have been some pretty good playoffs, I think, by and large. There is some actual defense, some competition being displayed throughout this postseason. And the Cleveland Cavaliers go into Detroit and rip presumptively the series down the stretch really of the final 2 minutes of regulation and into overtime. Just an incredible performance by several Cleveland Cavaliers who, remember, were left for dead. I picked the Cavs pre-series in 6 in this series, but left for dead after the Cavs gagged away games 1 and 2 in Detroit, failed in the clutch, faltered in the clutch. James Harden crapped his pants in the clutch. No surprise there in games 1 and 2. But the Cavs, as the Cavs are prone to do this postseason, go back to Cleveland, Believeland, and they take both games in Cleveland where they are undefeated this postseason. They were winless, though, on the road until tonight. The Cavaliers get it done on the road, grab their first road win of these playoffs, and in the process win 3 consecutive games now to go up, really, I'd say, with a declarative opportunity now to close this thing out in 6 at home in Cleveland, where, again, they are undefeated this postseason. And the Detroit Pistons, oh, so close. They had it right there. In fact, on my thumbnail for this live stream, I kind of played off of Detroit Rock City as Choke City, but that was an interpretive choke city because, look, Cleveland tried their best to choke this game away down the stretch. They really did. Jimmy Harden, who was magnificent all night long. He really was. I hate to even say anything negative about him in the aftermath of this 117-113 win for the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime. But Harden was attempting to soil himself for like the 70th time in his postseason career down the stretch of overtime. This guy, first of all, he had a flop turnover, trying to draw free throws, and it just became a turnover. He also, they had a 2-on-1 advantage down tight on the shot clock on one of the possessions in the final 2 minutes as well, minute and a half of overtime. And he, instead of an easy floater to a streaking, I think it might have been Mobley, who would have just easily caught it and dunked it in. Harden decided to try one of his floaters and missed it. And then he also missed 3 free throws in the last 2 minutes, 90 seconds of overtime. This guy is a magnificent free throw shooter. He's upper 80 percentile. He came into this series missing only 1 free throw for the entire series. And then he missed 3 in the last 90 seconds. I'm telling you, little game James was trying to rear his ugly head down the stretch in overtime. But alas, Detroit outchoked Cleveland tonight. Detroit choke city because they were up by 9 points with 2 minutes to go. And a 9-point lead in regulation. It was 2:17 or something like that. And actually, the Cleveland Cavaliers had an opportunity to win this game in regulation. They got the ball back with roughly 20 seconds left with the shot clock off, and they had an opportunity. They held for last possession, did Donovan Mitchell, but he was absolutely clamped down by Ausar Thompson. This kid, Ausar Thompson, he is an absolute defensive. He's a demon out there. He is a stud. Look, I often say that Oklahoma City has the 3 to 4 best perimeter defenders in the world. Well, look, they might have 3 or 4 of the top 5, but the best perimeter defender in the NBA is Ausar Thompson. The problem is he is an absolute liability offensively. He has to get better. I mean, Amen Thompson looks like he has the biggest bag in basketball history compared to Ausar. He's got to work on something in the offseason here, because as elite as his defense is, and he was, I believe, finished third in Defensive Player of the Year voting this season behind, of course, Victor Wembanyama, who was the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, then Chet Holmgren, who was a distant second. Ausar Thompson, I believe, was third, deservingly so. He's going to be first-team All-NBA as well. He should. But he played 41 minutes tonight and had only 6 points on 2 of 6 shooting from the field. Got to get better. Cannot be this much of a liability moving forward if Detroit is going to be able to play him substantial minutes down the stretch of important playoff games. They were going offense-defense substitution with him basically because he's just that bad. And my one criticism of the Detroit Pistons basically going into the postseason, I thought they would lose in the second round. I didn't expect they would have as much trouble as they did in the first round. They really should have lost in the first round. They were down by 24 points on the road in a closeout game 6 against the 8-seeded Orlando Magic. Came all the way back in that game and that series, won 3 straight to force or to get into the second round. But the reason I picked Cleveland in 6 in this series is because of the offensive limitations around Cade Cunningham. And look, it's unfair that I put Cade Cunningham on the thumb of this Choke City video, because Cade Cunningham certainly didn't choke. This guy is magnificent. He is undoubtedly a top 5 league-wide player. He is just an absolute star. 39 points tonight, 13 of 27, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. I mean, feel free, anybody else on Detroit, to show up for this guy. It's been Tobias Harris all playoff long, just not there tonight. 13 points on 6 of 19. Look, I don't want to, ignite Gary again. Gary is here, by the way. We'll bring him in momentarily. And Gary and I last night got into a protracted conversation about on-offs, meaning, look, if you are new to the show, if you are just joining us here, Skap Live, I'm not going to go into a huge spiel here, but on-offs basically measure your impact, how many points you add per 100 possessions that you're on the floor. So, like, how good is your team? Do you make your team worse or better, and by how many points? And Cade Cunningham, look, I didn't even plan to look this up, but I'm just looking at how pathetic and abysmal the offense is surrounding this guy. He's got to be in the 20s. He's got to be like 20, 25, plus 20 or 25 on his on-off in these playoffs, because it's him and it's nobody else. In the postseason, plus 19 going into tonight. He was only plus 6, by the way, during the regular season. So that was really my concern with them into the playoffs. And that is that's the major thing they have to address this summer, is getting some kind. Gary is messaging me something. I'm not sure, guys. Sorry. Let me just pause for a second. Gary is messaging me.
It's driving your point that you're making right now.
Right. You mean they were up? They were a 97% chance of winning.
Just thought you'd like to throw that percentage out. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, look, my point is the Detroit Pistons have an elite defense. They clearly need more offense. They're clearly a limited offensive unit. They've got to address it in the offseason. I'm thinking maybe I see an Ausar Thompson for Jamal Murray trade deal percolating right now in the offseason. Let's get it done, Detroit. Let's get you a secondary ball handler, shot creator, and scorer. You don't really need more defense. We could just get Ausar Thompson over to the Denver Nuggets, help their perimeter defense immensely, their point of attack defense. Maybe you throw in one of these pieces, who knows, one of these other defensive guys that you don't really need on this team. More offense for Detroit needed. The Cleveland Cavaliers now, just an incredible come from behind win. Not like I said, overcame a 9-point deficit with under 2.5 to go in the fourth quarter, had the potential to go ahead and win this thing in regulation. Didn't happen, but they didn't falter. They didn't waver. They took it into overtime, controlled the extra session, and now Cleveland is going home. Cleveland, this is for you. That Cleveland is going home with an opportunity to close this series out in 6 at home and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals to take on the New York Knicks, who are on absolute fire right now. And this, I think that is going to be a really good series. The Knicks have been on one. They're on an absolute roll. And look, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. The Detroit Pistons did just overcome a 3-1 series deficit last series. They're certainly not sweating or overly concerned with having to win 2 games in a row to close this series. They'll of course take it one game at a time. They'll go in and try to get the one on the road, and then obviously they become big favorites if it gets back into a game 7. But I talk about percentages, odds. Of course, every series takes on a new dynamic and a new complexity from any other series. And you really, I guess, can't necessarily take historical odds into account when you're dealing with standalone series. Nonetheless, the past history is a great indicator and predictor of the future, or in this case, the present. And when Detroit, a home team up 1-0, went up 2-0 by winning their game at home, game 2 at home, they became a 95% favorite to win this series based on NBA history across all rounds of all series. Now it is completely shifted, with Detroit barfing up a 9-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Now Cleveland winning this pivotal swing game 5 in a 2-2 tied series. Well, now all-time in NBA history, the winner in that such scenario goes on to win these series roughly 96% of the time. So Cleveland has completely flip-flopped and reversed this thing from about a week ago when Detroit won their second game to go up 2-0. Now it's 3 straight for Cleveland. They'll try to make it 4 straight and close this thing out at home. And in addition to Little Game James, who was, aside from the puzzling flop turnover, the ridiculous floater that he should have just lofted to Evan Mobley, and 3 missed free throws in the last 90 seconds of overtime. Aside from that, James Harden was fantastic tonight. He was a plus 11. He had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He did have the 6 turnovers, led the team. They were very clean, by the way, on the turnovers, mostly, other than James Harden. And then Donovan Mitchell, really poor shooting night for him. Very slow start, but he hit big shots down the stretch. He hit a massive 3 in overtime that put them, I think they went up from 2 to 5 on a sidestep 3 that he hit in OT. So didn't have it tonight. Donovan Mitchell, not his best game, especially not off of his recent historic 39-point half. But still, he hit the shots when he needed to. And Max Strus, another big hero for Believeland, coming off the bench, 20 points for Strus. 6 of 8 from the 3-point line. 6 3-pointers for Strus off the bench. The Cleveland Cavaliers hit 14 threes all night. So Max Strus in 36 minutes off the bench hit roughly half of the Cavaliers' threes. And he had a big-time steal in overtime, which really, I thought, kind of sealed the deal for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So all in all, just a terrific game. It looked, you couldn't tell. Obviously, it looked like Cleveland was going to win this game like midway through the fourth. Then Detroit went on a crazy run, appeared to rip the game and the series from the Cavs. And then the Cavs come roaring back, overcome the 9-point deficit, and really just take control into overtime. But the Pistons just hung around. The Cavs missed some free throws, and it really was. This was just a terrific NBA playoff game. Thank goodness we have a competitive series. We've seen a couple woodshed blowout beatdowns. The Knicks obviously swept the Philadelphia 76ers in emphatic fashion. Ditto for the Oklahoma City Thunder and the LA Lakers. look, the Minnesota Timberwolves and San Antonio Spurs series continues, but really only because on the strength of an ejection in the early stages of Game 4 of Victor Wembanyama, or else I believe that series would have been over in 5 as well. The San Antonio Spurs have absolutely blitzed and destroyed the Timberwolves in 2 of their 3 wins. Not really, hasn't been that compelling of a series in my estimation, but this series has been good. It's continuing, I think, to be good. I think that game in Cleveland, while I expect them to win that game and close this series out at home, where again they are undefeated, still though this has been a compelling series, and I believe that Cleveland, despite the fact they have had their struggles this postseason, they have struggled in clutch time at times. But I do believe, despite how good the New York Knicks have looked, that is going to be a pretty compelling little Eastern Conference series. I think we're going to have 2 really good conference series coming down the pike in ultimately what will be the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then I think the Cavaliers and the New York Knicks, though Detroit's not dead yet. I wouldn't completely write their obituary, but a massive game for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, and a massive game from several players. They're mainly little game James Harden, who I'm sorry, I should not be referring to him as little game James tonight, because
hold up. No, yes, he is. He is little game James. You can't, this is over a collective career here. You can't go off just a couple good games that he's had. And the series isn't over. There is still time for him to crap his pants. And if he does get past Detroit here, no doubt he's going to be running dew all over his leg against the Knicks.
Well, Gary, I can't even necessarily call it a choke against the Knicks, because the Knicks to me would be the favorite. They would be the presumptive favorites in that series, in my estimation. But look, the Knicks are on a roll. They're on one. Obviously, guys, you heard La Moderator Gary is obviously on hand, as he typically is. So Gary is here. We've got you guys here. Welcome in to Skap Live After Dark. We got about 450 people in here. Not too shabby. Thanks for joining me here at 11:30 on the East Coast of the US of A, where Gary and I are coming from. The waters, as always, are warm in the After Dark area with Skap Live. So, guys, I appreciate you all being here. Only one game tonight on the docket. It's a light one. Like I said, we've only got 2 series remaining right now, 2 active series, while the New York Knicks, the aforementioned Knicks, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are just laying in wait, waiting for the winners to emerge from these 2 series. Cleveland, obviously, with a big step. They've taken a big step towards getting to that Eastern Conference Finals and meeting the New York Knicks. While, again, the Spurs, I believe, likely will be the team, as I picked them too. I picked them in 6 as well. So, I mean, guys, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but, I picked the Cavs in 6. I picked the Spurs in 6. Ultimately it's just, I'm looking pretty good on these picks right now. But both of those games, by the way, game 6 is on the docket on Friday. Cleveland, Detroit, game 6 in Cleveland, and San Antonio in Minnesota for game 6 in that series. So we do not have, for the first time in, I don't know, basically since the last day of the play-in. So when the playoffs began way back, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, tomorrow, Thursday night, will be Thursday, May 14th. We will have no games on the queue. So probably going to be a little day off in the Skap Live After Dark area tomorrow night. And we'll reconvene on Friday night to check in on those 2 games. Not quite sure why we couldn't adjust the schedule or amend the schedule and push one game to tomorrow. Why couldn't we have the Spurs and T-Wolves? It's been an every other day proposition for Spurs Timberwolves until this time. Now they have 2 days off in between. And in doing that, it moved them to the same day as the Cavs and Pistons game. otherwise if we would have just kept it every other day for the entire series. And it goes back to every other day from 6 to 7 if necessary. So if we would have just kept it as is and had it every other day, we would tomorrow have the Spurs and Timberwolves on. And then the following night, we would have Cavs Detroit, which I would much prefer. But instead, an off night tomorrow for the NBA, for the association, and maybe, I guess, might as well be for us here as well. And then we'll be back on Friday. But a compelling game, thankfully, to send us off on our one-day hiatus tomorrow. A compelling game tonight between the Cavs and the Pistons. And I am really, really impressed with a lot of the pieces of the Pistons and primarily the defensive capabilities of this team. But again, I was concerned going into the postseason. I was concerned even after the comeback against Orlando and into this series with the offense surrounding Cade Cunningham. And look, Denise Jenkins had a big game tonight, 19 points, 8 of 17 shooting. That was pretty much it. Paul Reed randomly off the bench for 10 points. I mean, Tobias Harris, 13 points on 6 of 19. You are not going to advance very deep in the NBA playoffs with Tobias Harris over me as your second option, which is exactly what he is. It's precisely what the Pistons have been rolling out this entire postseason is Tobias Harris as the second option. And again, that is not an equation for success. So as great as Cade Cunningham has been in this series so far and in this postseason, he can only do so much. And Cade Cunningham, what a year. I mean, 24 years old, incremental improvement. He did kind of, he kind of tailed off a bit. His averages took a hit because he came back for like 4 games to ramp up and from that collapsed lung. But a fantastic year for him. 24 points, 10 assists, 5.5 rebounds per game. Just a great season. And then in the playoffs now, 29 points per game, 7.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds. Terrific player. And he plays defense too. Lot to love about Cade Cunningham. Not a lot to love about the offense surrounding him. So they got some work to do. Let's take a look real quick at the books. I want to see what their contract situation looks like moving forward next season. Not a lot on the books. Only 133 right now. They got Cade secured for several years to come through 2030 to the tune of $270 million. He's making $50 million next year. Other than that, not a lot going on here on the books. Just a couple guys. You got Duncan Robinson at 15, Isaiah Stewart at 15, Karis LeVert at 14, Ausar Thompson at 11 million, Holland at 9 million. So, I mean, Paul Reed at 5, Denise Jenkins at 4, that's it, really. That's it. So, not a lot. They will be major players, you would think, in free agency. And, I speculated that they needed to make a trade or something like that. Perhaps not. Perhaps with the salary cap space that they will have available, they can allocate some chunk of that and go out and get something in the offseason. Hey, this thought just came across. What about LeBron to Detroit, maybe? We don't know what's going on with LeBron. I think he wants to go back to LA, stay with Bronny. But look, does Luka want him back? Does ownership want him back? I think probably the front office, for whatever reason, wants him back, but at a major haircut. I know it's funny that I keep saying LeBron take a haircut because the guy spray paints his hair on. So he hasn't had a haircut in obviously years, but I'm talking about from a contractual standpoint. The Lakers would like him to take a haircut to stay, probably take like 20, 25 million. Look, Rui Hachimura this year was, I believe, the third highest paid player on the Lakers at like 18 million. But let me confirm that. Yes, Rui at 18.2 was the Lakers' third highest paid player on the books this season. Does anybody realistically, as much as LeBron wants to stay in Tinseltown, where he lives, where his businesses are, where his family is, where Bronny is playing. Do we really believe LeBron's taking 20 mil or less? I don't know about that. So look, I've been speculating that the options for him are, I've been speculating all year actually that the options are Lakers, retirement, Cavs, and New York Knicks. So I still think those are the three options, but I didn't really even think about Detroit. Look, Detroit, elite defensively, number one team in the East, 60-win team, second best net rated defense in the NBA this year in the regular season, behind only Oklahoma City, ahead of San Antonio. Really just missing a second option or a secondary scoring presence, and they've got tons of money on the books. So if Detroit, similar to, look, the Houston Rockets, what they did, Houston was the number 2 seed last year in the NBA Western Conference playoff outlook. They went out in the first round and KD went there. So, you might say that looks like another gutless KD team up job going to the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, but they lost in the first round. So it doesn't have that same impact or that same feel. So even though the Detroit Pistons are 60-win team, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, if they flame out in the Eastern Conference semifinals after going up 2-0 and then they lose 4 straight games, well, maybe LeBron could ride in on his white steed and help rescue Detroit and take them to the promised land next year. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here and throwing options out because the Pistons certainly need some kind of offensive help in this offseason. And the NBA free agents this year aren't necessarily lighting the world on fire. Just looking at taking a cursory glance here at some of the top NBA free agents. Well, these aren't in any kind of order. Why would you not order these in some way? Okay, LeBron James is a free agent. Now, some of these guys have player options. Trae Young has a player option. Zach LaVine has a player option. James Harden has a player option. CJ McCollum is an unrestricted free agent, as is Chris Middleton, Kristaps Porzingis. Isaiah Hartenstein has, I believe that's a team option. So there's really not much floating around out there in the ether of free agency. Jonathan Kuminga is interesting, but there's a team option on him. So, realistically, Zach LaVine, Rui Hachimura, like those are pretty much the best offensive options you have. And those guys have player options. Actually, it's a team option on Rui. So not a lot. Norman Powell, but he's an unrestricted free agent. So he's free as well. So yeah, we'll see. LeBron is on the market. He is available. So who knows? Maybe it's a bidding war between if the Lakers decide thanks but no thanks, or if they lowball him and offer him like $15 million and he decides to walk. Maybe it's an open bidding war over the July 4th holiday weekend between the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, the Pistons, the Knicks, and the Cavs. That would be a lot of fun. Well, Boston's a top team too. They presumptively will not be in on the LeBron sweepstakes. Gary, welcome in. We've already heard from Gary once tonight. Gary, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Say something to the people.
Well, I got to watch my step here before I start setting the chat on fire. Because I'm seeing
Why is that, Gary?
Are you poking the bear here? Is that what you want to do? You want to?
I don't know. Why are you going to set the chat on fire?
I'm ready to go on a rant, but I think we should probably just go to the super chats because I might get some people pissed off right now.
Well, we are 30 minutes in now, Gary, which is typically around the 30 or 40 minute mark is when we typically get to the comments and get to the people and see what direction they want to go. So let's do that, Gary, and we'll see what direction we go in if you have to break loose a rant of some sort. But let's first begin. The first one off the bat is an old reliable, a great friend of the show, John O'Ratcliffe, who is firing the first shot and a very generous first shot at that. John, I am beside myself with your generosity here. Thank you very much for your very, very generous donation to us. I appreciate you supporting me and the show. And thank you for being here on basically all of these shows, regardless, and for your continued activity and engagement. I really do appreciate you very, very much. Gary, what is the question or comment that accompanies this generous donation?
What's up, Skap? Thanks for all you do, man. Also, what are your thoughts on the dumb move of the Celtics trading Brown for Giannis? I say absolutely no way to this. Also, how badly do you think Washington botches the draft and takes that kid from Kansas? I am predicting here John O'Ratcliffe and Skap are about to be on opposite ends of a discussion here. John, we don't want you to get offended because I think Skap is going to oppose your view here.
Actually, I'm not. I don't think that's a good move. Realistically, I don't think I would. First of all, I wouldn't trade Brown at all. If I was going to trade somebody, if I was going to break up the Celtics tandem of Brown and Tatum, it would be Tatum, not Brown. I like Brown more than Tatum, and Tatum has that Achilles rupture now in his past as well. So if I were to trade one of them, it would certainly not be Brown. I do think they have to trade somebody. Either Derek White or Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown has got to go. They've got to make a change. That the core has been together too long. They've underachieved too much. They should have won the East this year. Hell, I think they should have contended for the NBA championship, and they lost in the first round after they were up 3-1. 3-1, which is whatever, 258-12 or something going into that series, all time in NBA history when a team takes a 3-1 lead. And then not only did they gag that 3-1 lead up to the Philadelphia 76ers, the Sixers then went out and got absolutely obliterated by the Knicks. So just a horrendous looking loss for them. And really the outlier year for them has got to be the championship run. Just a fluky, lucky season for them. Everybody was hurt in the East. They then got a weaker Dallas team out of the West. I think you got to fire Joe Mazzulla for sure this summer, and which they're not. And then I would definitely trade White, Tatum, or Brown, which they likely also won't do. I don't like the Brown for Giannis. I really, quite frankly, I kind of do like the idea of them getting Giannis somehow if they can, just with picks and I don't know, maybe Tatum. Tatum and picks, or see if you can strap Derek White, two other guys on that team, and like 5 picks for Giannis, maybe. I don't know. They've got to do something. Realistically, though, John, I want to work something out with my Nuggets, with you. Like, I want to get either Jaylen Brown over there to my Nuggets. We can do a little Jamal Murray, Jaylen Brown swap. They're both All-NBA designated this year. They're both making roughly $50 million. Let's just do a straight up swap. Brown for Murray, similar age. I mean, why not? What do we have to lose? Otherwise, can I interest you possibly in Aaron Gordon for Derek White? I would also be willing to entertain that. The thing I would most like, John, though, that I dream about at nights, Tatum and like 5 picks for Nikola Jokic. Let's get Jokic on Boston with Brown and the rest of that team. I don't think the Nuggets are going to entertain trading Jokic, unfortunately. So let's just think about those other deals that I just offered you. Maybe me and you can work something out here. As for the Wiz, look, this DeBonsa kid he's got to be number 1. He just has to be. I would not touch Peterson with a 10-foot pole with the number 1 overall pick. In fact, I don't want him at all. If I have like the third or fourth pick, I'm hoping someone takes him, Darren Peterson, the kid from Kansas. I'm hoping someone takes him before me. Like if I'm at 3 or 4. If I'm at 3 or 4 and he's still on the board when I get there, I'm trading that pick down and letting somebody else fall on that grenade for me, because I'm with you again on this. So John and I actually, Gary, kind of pretty much see eye to eye on this one. I don't want any part of Peterson. And if the Wiz take him, they deserve every bit of what they get for the next 10 years, which is plunging themselves deeper into the abyss of assness that they've been wallowing in for the last, their entire franchise virtually. So, I think it's got to be the Debonsa. And if not, look, I do still like Boozer. Look, his athleticism did not pop in the tournament, and his measurables athletically were really not awe-inspiring in the draft. However, he does have the pedigree. He does have a polished game. He will be a good pro. He probably will be a similar pro to his dad, quite frankly. So I wouldn't be afraid to pick him, but I think Boozer's stock has dropped a bit. I think probably maybe he goes 5th-ish right now, and Peterson might go above him. Good. If I was sitting in 4 and Peterson was available, I'd trade down to 5 and take Boozer and let somebody else go and take Peterson ahead. But John, yes, thank you for the question. Thank you again for always being here, and thank you for the generous donation. We've got Stump 4522 is up next. Gary, what does Stump have for us tonight? And Stump, welcome back into you.
Pistons ain't winning shit if Tobias Harris is your second option.
Yeah, I believe I uttered that exact same phrase or that exact same sentence. The Pistons have been rolling Tobias Harris out as their number 2 option. And look, credit to him. Look, he's played pretty well this postseason. First of all, he's actually not even that old. He's 33 years old only, but 15th year. Only 13 points per game this regular season, but in the playoffs, 21 points per game. So, I mean, a pretty good run for him, quite frankly. He is on an expiring contract, by the way, $26 million he made this season. So he's one of the expiring. Kevin Huter is the other expiring. And Jalen Duren, oh my goodness. So actually, I know what a bunch of their cap is going to go to this summer is dropping a mega extension on Jalen Duren, despite the fact he hasn't been good this postseason. He hasn't been great this postseason, but he was an all-star this year, averaged 20 and 10, great defensive player. He's making only $6 million this year, and he's got nothing. No team option, no player option, nothing next year. So he's going to sign probably like a $200+ million contract this summer. But yes, they need to do something and from a second option standpoint that ain't Tobias Harris. All right, we've got Will N 8664N is up next. Will, what's up? Welcome back into you. How's your night going? Hopefully well. Gary, what does Will have to offer us for a question or comment tonight?
Mike Brown turning Cat into a mini Joker with the facilitating.
Yeah, Mike Brown trying to turn Cat into a mini Joker with the facilitating. I mean, you honestly just got to tip your cap to Mike Brown, who Gary hates, obviously, and thinks is not an elite coach.
I don't hate any of these people, by the way, just to clarify. So,
but Gary thinks that Mike Brown is not a good coach. We can definitely say that. And he's giving a thumbs up to that.
Overrated coach. I don't think he's a terrible coach. I just think he gets a lot more hype than he deserves. I think he's a decent coach, definitely not a great coach.
2-time coach of the year. Not that means anything. Just saying he's won coach of the year twice.
Off LeBron, right? That's
no, I was Sacramento once and Cleveland once, I believe.
What they do in Sacramento? They never won a playoff series.
Yeah, they won like 25 games for like 10 straight years surrounding Mike Brown's 48-win season. So when you win like 20 or 30 games every single year and then nearly win 50 with the same personnel, you get coach of the year. Those are the rules. So Mike Brown, coach of the year in Sacramento, coach of the year with Cleveland. And now, Gary, he has a chance to get the New York Knicks into the NBA Finals for the first time 1999. You're saying zero. Are you saying zero chance they get to the NBA Finals?
0 championships. And at the end of this year, he's going to have 0 championships.
Gary, I believe you were just defending Donovan Mitchell a few nights ago, saying, when has he ever actually been on a championship contending roster? Well, when has Mike Brown ever had a championship contending roster at his disposal?
Well, he had LeBron, young LeBron, and they could have put better. Cleveland could have put better pieces around LeBron. That could have been.
I'm sorry, how is that Mike Brown's fault? Was Mike Brown the GM?
Management.
Was Mike Brown the GM trying to sign players, or was that the front office's job?
But the coach and GM work together.
That's not true, Gary. Come on. The general manager picks the pieces. The general manager how was Mike Malone working with the general manager and the front office in Denver? How was that working?
They were fighting. I didn't say it always goes. I didn't say they work in harmony, but they do like work together. Like the coach gets some type of input. I'm sure, unless there's just a major move that management wants to make. Yeah, sure, they do go above the coach's head at times, but I'm saying they do have meetings and work together. Typically they do, at least. Okay, but for the sake of argument, not to drag things out. Okay, Mike Brown didn't have anything to do with it. I don't. It's fine. You don't agree. You think he's a great coach. I don't. I think he's overrated, and I'm entitled to have my opinion. We'll see what happens.
I don't think he's rated. I don't think anybody in the NBA circles are thinking Mike Brown is an elite coach.
Every time you hear him talked about on ESPN, they speak glowingly of him like he's such a magnificent coach. It's just nauseating because he hasn't ever really accomplished anything. He's a good coach, but he's not a great coach. And when has he ever been criticized? Turn to ESPN. Show me the clip of ESPN criticizing him when he has underperformed. Never. They always overpraise him for doing a mediocre job or maybe a good job, and they act like he did a phenomenal job. He gets protected by the media. It's just annoying.
Well, there's your problem, Gary. You listen to ESPN, I don't. So that's therein lies the difference between us. I think,
but most people do. So I'm saying you want to watch ESPN so that you know what plot points to defend against. What are they putting out to the masses so that you know what to defend? That's why I watch.
I would say this. I think Mike Brown also is a good coach. Like, I don't think he's a top 5 coach in the NBA or anything like that. If he gets the Knicks to the NBA Finals, it's going to be viewed as a really good job. And if he wins the NBA Finals, he is immortalized for sure. And he will be thought of as a great coach then at that point.
I agree. Yeah. Guess what? That ain't happening. Sorry, Knicks fans, you ain't win a championship this year.
I agree with that. Okay, next thing we've got Stump back in again with some critical words for Jalen Duren, who I just spoke about. Go ahead, Gary, with this one. You're muted, Gary.
Also, Jalen Duren, poo-poo for being an all-star this season.
Yeah, I mentioned it. He's not been good in the playoffs. He had 9 points tonight, and he's probably only averaging about that at this point. Again, I said he was 20 and 10 this season. Was an all-star, 20 and 10 on 65% shooting from the field. And he was Defensive Player of the Year number 11. So we'll see if he's named defensive, all NBA defensive team. He's 11th, so probably not, but he has an outside chance of doing it. Only 10 points per game in the postseason right now. So here's the thing, though, about him, because I wouldn't have known it if I didn't just look, Stump. He's making $6 million right now. Like, at least there's that. You could be paying him whatever. Like, look at the Denver Nuggets books. I guess I can't say look. Christian Brown only made $6 million this year too, but he's jumping to $25 million a year for the next 5 years, starting with next year. And he scored 8 points per game in the playoffs. So, Jamal Murray, look, I guess he scored 23 points or whatever, but on like 22 shots for 50 million. Look, it could be worse. The fact that this guy's only making 6 million, he's still playing elite defense. And I think some of Jalen Duren's struggles in this postseason is situational. It's the way they're being played, and things aren't quite as open and free flowing for his lob game and stuff as it was in the regular season, which is a limitation. So maybe you rethink what kind of a contract you're going to throw his way. And look, therein lies the problem with Detroit. Jalen Duren he is an elite defensive presence. But he's an offensive liability, and he's very limited if he's not getting things going to the basket. And Ausar Thompson is also, I talked about him off the top, a complete and utter defensive liability. So like they only played Duren 25 minutes tonight. The rest of the starting lineup, other than Duren, all played in the 40s. Tobias Harris 40, Cade Cunningham 48 minutes. Ausar Thompson, 41, Denise Jenkins, 41, and Jalen Duren, again, only 25. So you've got basically two of your elite defensive pieces, your center and your point, basically, who are just almost unplay. Like, you don't have to guard them at all so two guys, basically. So, like, that's really going to hurt you and your flow offensively in the playoffs when things tighten up, slow down, and you're predominantly running things out of half-court sets, way more than you are in the NBA's regular season, where things are much faster and freer and so forth. All right, Will N is back in again. Welcome back in again, Will. Gary, what does Will have for us this time?
Unfortunately, Mitch Robinson has to pay child support after he impregnated Joel Embiid.
I'm on too little sleep for the last 2 weeks. For the last 2 weeks for some of these, for this and some of the doo-doos and the poo-poos. My 16-year-old sense of humor is just cracking through in my lack of sleep. Joel Embiid, I'll tell you. I don't know. I lived in Philadelphia for a number of years. I've got a number of friends who are in Philadelphia. In fact, basically my entire fantasy football league lives in Philadelphia. Guys that I'm in touch with on a daily basis, and they know that I'm dialed into the NBA. So they're asking me how they can get rid of Joel Embiid. There's some kind of whispers going around league circles that maybe there's a Domantas Sabonis for Joel Embiid trade in the works. I don't think so. The extension for Embiid doesn't even trigger till next year. So he's due it's like $180 million or something like that. And it's unbelievable that they gave him that. Yes, it triggers for the 2026-2027 season, it triggers the 3-year extension. 58 mil next year, 62 mil the following year, 67 mil the year after that, which is a player option. Yeah, do you think Joel will be activating that player option? I sure do. So you owe him basically 60 mil on average for the next 3 seasons, while in the previous 3 seasons, he is, including this one, he has played 39, 19, and 38 games now. Below not good. So there's nothing. Like, they want to know, my friends want to know how can they get rid of Joel Embiid? There really is no way. There's no amnesty clause. I won't suggest them doing anything illegal, obviously, to Joel. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see anything bad or negative happen to Joel. But really, unless he decides to retire or whatever on his own accord, he's just going to be eating up $60 million a year for the next 3 years while playing 35 games a night, if the Sixers are lucky, and then not being healthy at all come playoff time. So it's just one of the worst contracts in NBA history. All right, Giuseppe DeRosa is in. for the first time. Actually, did I just? No. Okay, yes. For the first time, I see Giuseppe is in several other times coming up. So let's hear from the first question or comment from Giuseppe, and we'll obviously be hearing from him moving forward as well.
What's your top 3 most hated teams of all time? That's an easy one. LeBron's Heat, then LeBron's second stint with the Cavs, and then LeBron's Lakers. There you go.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna guess we're just staying in the NBA because this is obviously predominantly an NBA channel and an NBA live stream, I guess. So I will say only in the NBA. LeBron, for sure, LeBron's Heat would be probably my most hated team in NBA history. Just such a soft, pathetic collection of losers. And really, Dwayne Wade broke my heart because I was grooming Dwayne to be my favorite player in weight. So, like, I was a Jordan guy, obviously, or a Jordan kid in the 90s. And then I adopted Kobe Bryant as my favorite player in weight for when Jordan retired. And then Kobe became my favorite player. And then as Kobe was getting older, I was thinking Dwayne Wade was going to be my guy that I would pick up for after Kobe that could combat LeBron moving forward. And instead, that coward loser, Dwayne Wade, recruited LeBron to his team. So I just really could not stand. And then they brought Chris Bosh, obviously. So I would say the Heat, the Heatles, the Miami Big Three team with LeBron would be my most hated team ever. I would then say I got to throw the Sacramento Kings in the early 2000s. Being a huge Kobe fan as I was, and a huge Shaq Kobe Lakers fan while I was in high school during those years. They had such a heated rivalry with Sacramento, the intrastate rival. They played 3 years in a row and 3 out of 4 years in the playoffs, including that the best series I've ever seen in my life. The one that many people think that potentially Tim Donaghy affected the outcome of Game 6 in some way. But that series, notwithstanding the Tim Donaghy allegations, that is the best series I've ever seen in my life. That 7-game series between the Kings and the Lakers. That was the Kings had home court advantage. That was the Robert Horry shot. The Lakers were down like 20 in that game. They were down 2 still in the waning seconds of that they would have been down 3-1. That was the big shot, Bob 3-pointer that tied it at 2. Mike Bibby hit a game-winning buzzer beater basically in Game 5 in Arco to take the 3-2 lead. Then the Tim Donaghy alleged game in Game 6. The Lakers stave off elimination, and they go into Arco in Game 7, where that game goes into overtime in Arco Arena with a 3-peat on the line, and Shaq and Kobe both with massive games in that Game 7. So I hated that Kings team. So I would say the Kings are in the mix as well. And then it is hard. I root against LeBron every step of the way. And I want him to fail every step of the way. But I didn't necessarily hate that Cavs team too much otherwise. And the Laker team has just been too bad primarily to hate. Like the team stinks. Like they've if you take the bubble out, which the bubble shouldn't count, it shouldn't. In his 7 other years that he was in LA, they won 3 total series. They were 16-26 in the postseason minus the bubble year. So they were just too weak to hate. I honestly, I don't know who would be like another hated Sacramento for sure. You know what? I'd probably would say Boston. The big 3 Garnett, Pierce, and Allen team, because they dusted Kobe in the 08 finals, and then they had another vicious 7-game series in 2010. Really disliked that team. Didn't like Rajon Rondo. Hated Glenn Big Baby Davis. I really like KG, but not a fan of Paul Pierce. So maybe that Celtics team potentially. But good question. I think maybe now I really dislike the Timberwolves. But they don't rise to the level of top 3, I don't think. Good question, Giuseppe. Definitively Sacramento early 2000s and Miami Heat with the big 3 of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. All right, Wolfsbane is in next. What's up? Wolfsbane, a regular. Welcome back in. Appreciate you being here. Gary, what's the question or comment from Wolfsbane tonight?
This is about a YouTuber who covers basketball and is a big Detroit Pistons fan. Just because I figured you probably don't even know who Commissioner Dynamo is, right? Yeah. He's a big Pistons fan. So Wolfsbane says, well, Commissioner Dynamo is about to explode.
Well, shout out to you, Commissioner Dynamo. I feel bad for you. My dad, who may or may not be listening, one of maybe his best friend, Phil, who lives, my dad's best friend. My dad is Bob, but his best friend is Phil, one of his best friends. He lives in Allentown, Pennsylvania, but he was born and raised in Detroit, and he's a long-suffering Detroit sports fan. Obviously, he's been waiting his whole life for the Lions to win something. He had some glory days with the Pistons in the 80s, and look, he really enjoyed when my Lakers with Shaq and Kobe got beat in 2004 by the Pistons. I still remember he was very excited about that series. So, a little small part of me kind of is excited to see him suffer with this series. But no, all joking aside, I feel bad not only for Phil, my dad's friend Phil, but also all Detroit sports fans because they have so little in life. They just, there's not much they have to be excited about. Their sports teams typically are all struggling and suffering. So Detroit has a great year, 60 wins. You want to think they have an opportunity to get into the NBA Finals, and they're just too limited offensively. But the good news is a lot of youth on this team. Like Ausar Thompson, outright stud, 23 years old. We mentioned Jalen Duren struggled this postseason, hasn't been good, but he's only 22 years old. Cade Cunningham, 24 years old. So their 3 huge pieces are all very young and ascending pieces. So the future is bright in Detroit. So hopefully Commissioner Dynamo doesn't blow up too much tonight. Okay, Giuseppe DeRosa is back in again. Gary, go ahead with Giuseppe's next comment for us tonight.
LeBron to the Wizards. Let's finish the fake Jordan run.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Obviously, LeBron is a totally untethered free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent. So he's going to pick wherever it is that he wants to go. I don't see him going to Washington, though. Who knows? If they re-up all their guys, which includes Anthony Davis, maybe he would go there with AD and they could reunite there. But I don't see that happening. I think, like I said, I think the options still remain Cleveland, New York, Los Angeles, and retirement. I don't think he's going to retire. Does anyone really think not only does he want his flowers and his retirement tour for a full 82-game season? So, of course, we know that his ego wants that. But do you really think LeBron's final moment in the NBA, do you think he would let it be him gagging a layup to get swept out of the playoffs? Because remember, he had the ball in his hands with 20 seconds left, drove the floor, put up a floater, brick city, rebounded, game over, series over, his 4th sweep of his career. That's really going to be the last shot that LeBron takes and the last moment of him in the NBA? No way. He's playing next year, and I think his options are Lakers, Cavs, or Knicks. But I will throw the Pistons in as an intriguing opportunity for him if he wants to consider maybe them, depending on how they go. If they go out like in the second round in 6 after losing 4 straight games, well, that doesn't look like a super team jump, really. So maybe he would consider them. Maybe it's a bidding war between the 3 top teams in the East minus Boston. All right, Sir G3366 is in. What's up, sir? Welcome to you. Gary, what's the question or comment from him?
Little Game James shows up, comes through again.
Yeah, it's been boom or bust for Little Game James in this series. He's been magnificent by and large or terrible. And tonight was largely a magnificent game. He, again, tried his damnedest to poo himself down the stretch of overtime, but it just didn't happen. And on one of the missed free throws, he did get his own free throw back, or his miss back. So he missed on his 3rd missed free throw. He offensive rebounded his own missed free throw. So he kind of made up for his 3 missed free throws there when he got that rebound. Otherwise, it could have tightened up real quick because it was a 3-point game when he missed the 2nd free throw. It was a 3-point game with 18 seconds left. So if Detroit rebounds that cleanly, you go get a quick 2 and then foul again, and then who knows? But Harden rebounded. He got an offensive rebound off his own missed free throw, which drives me absolutely insane. In football, the thing that I absolutely cannot stand are turnovers. And in basketball, it's offensive rebounds. And if I really had to specify, offensive rebounds off missed free throws are even more maddening to me. So really just inexcusable for Detroit to not get that rebound clean. Private Citizen MO is in next. What's up, Private Citizen? And welcome into you. Thanks for being here. Gary, what's the question or comment from Private Citizen?
Why don't you think he wants to go back to Cleveland to finish his career and take his talents to Lake Erie?
I think it would be a great story, and I think the Cavaliers are close to a championship. I think they will win this series. I picked them to win it before the series started, but we'll see. It's not over. And then I think they will lose. I haven't really thought about it, but I don't think it goes 6. They won't get swept. Maybe 5. I'm sorry. I don't think it goes 7 with the Knicks. But I don't think they get swept. 5 or 6, I think they'll lose in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Knicks. So I mean, I think it is a good story, and I think it is in the running for him. And I think that is where it will be if it's not LA. There's some issues and some things that have to happen first. Like James Harden, I think, doesn't work with LeBron and Donovan Mitchell. Those are 3 top 12 usage players of all time in NBA history. So I don't think those 3 guys, like LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka, didn't work. Well, realistically, I mean, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron, and James Harden are even a higher usage triumvirate. So, like, I just don't think so. James Harden, I think it's a player option. He's going to want an extension, though. They're going to basically have to decide to try to sever ties with him, I think, if they want to bring LeBron in, because I don't think they could do all 3. Further look, he just wants to stay in LA, I think. He's lived there now for years. He has several businesses there. His kids, his family are all there. So look, Savannah doesn't want to go back to Cleveland. She loves living in LA, as does his entire family. They don't want to go back to the mistake by the lake. And probably, look, while it's close, the Cavs are a good team. They're in a weaker conference. The Lakers maybe present him a better chance, at least a better team, but they are in a much harder conference with 2 way better teams in the Spurs and the Thunder. So it's a coin toss there, but I don't know that LeBron necessarily even cares about winning. I think he just wants to live in LA, stay in LA, and keep playing there. But how much are they willing to give him? How much less is he willing to take? And do the Lakers and Luka, do they even want him at all? So, like, those are some questions that we need to get answers for. So LeBron, when he says he doesn't know what he's doing, I think it's BS, and he always knows what he's doing. Now he really doesn't know. because I think he knows what he wants to do. But for the first time in his career, he doesn't have the opportunity to make that determination or to call that shot. So we'll see. I think if it's not LA, I think you're right. I think ultimately it does and will become Cleveland. All right. Giuseppe is back in again with another question, seemingly about LeBron's legacy. Go ahead, Gary. What does Giuseppe want to know?
Can LeBron fix his legacy?
I think that he can. I do. He needs to. This is what he's got to do. He's got to go find Doc Emmett Brown and help him complete his work on the flux capacitor. Put it into a DeLorean and create a time machine traveling car, and then take his ass back to 2010 and not be a coward loser and break the competitive balance of the NBA when he went to Miami. And look, if he doesn't want to go back that far, just go back to Miami in 2014. And instead of crawling on his hands and knees to build another super team back to Cleveland, just keep his ass in Miami, because that was the one place, the one adult organization, the one well-run franchise with a good coach that set him up to succeed. But LeBron's too weak mentally. He's too much of a beta male. He felt too threatened by the big male egos that were in Miami with Pat Riley. So he couldn't cut it there with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and he left after 4 years. The only place that ever set him up to succeed. He was there for 4 years. He went to 4 NBA finals and won 2 NBA championships. 2 championships in 4 years, including back-to-back titles. In the other 19 years in the NBA, 19, 11 with LA, 8 with LA, 11 with Cleveland. 2 total titles. Flukish titles. They were down 3-1 to Golden State, and then Draymond got suspended. A bunch of players, including Steph Curry, were hurt. They came back and won 3 straight games. It's the only time a team has choked away a 3-1 lead in Golden State in the finals. And then the other championship with LA, of course, was the fluky asterisk bubble title. So like 2 fluky rings in 19 years. That's it. He should have kept his ass in Miami. And then he wouldn't have looked like such a coward mercenary. I still think it would have been weak as hell what he did going to join a top 3 player in the NBA, Dwayne Wade, when he was a top 3 player in the NBA. And then they recruited a top 15 player in Chris Bosh. But look, Wade was on the way down. He was coming down the hill. And Chris Bosh got bounced out of the league with blood clot issues. So LeBron could have undone some of the coward mercenary stuff if he stayed through a rebuild in Miami. And then he would have come out on the other end stronger and better for it, because a real franchise with a real coach would have put the pieces around him to have a second run and go back and win several other titles. So if he had done that, or if he had just stayed in Cleveland from the beginning, those are really the only ways that he could repair his legacy. So he will need a DeLorean equipped with a flux capacitor to get that thing up to 88 miles per hour and float on back to 2010 or 2014. From here, Giuseppe, in all seriousness, no, there's no way. Like jumping to another team to try to chase another ring in year 24 and likely failing again. No, that's probably, or going to some subpar team to stat pad. No, there's really no way he can repair his legacy now. But fair question. Will N is back in again. Go ahead, Gary, with Will's most recent question or comment for us.
Steph in the DMs. Bron, it's time to retire.
Well, there is speculation. People are speculating that there is another option. I see only 3 other than retirement. Lakers, Cavs, Knicks. I keep saying it. But some have been trying for 3 years, basically. And I think I heard Nick Wright talking about how Golden State would be the best story for the NBA. And Golden State, allegedly, has been talking or asking, reaching out to LeBron's representation, Clutch, seeing what they have to do to get a trade greased to get LeBron to the Bay Area with Cleveland. I'm sorry, Golden State. Guys, it's been a long couple days. So I guess there's a fourth option. Everybody wants to get Steph Curry and LeBron James together in the Bay Area and with the Warriors. And look, they did play very well together on the Olympic stage, but they did have a super team around them otherwise. Now they'll have God knows what else. Probably not much. Jimmy Butler will come back late in the year. And then they'll maybe be able to ramp him up, and they'll have Butler, Curry, and LeBron for a playoff run. Yawn. Like, I'm really not. My dad, by the way, said he's watching and Phil is sleeping. If you were on when I was talking about his friend Phil, the Detroit sports fan. Anyway, I don't see that moving my needle, certainly. LeBron, Steph, and Jimmy Butler. Butler like 35, 36. Steph 37. LeBron 42. Those are their ages next year. Or maybe Steph's going to be 38 next year. I don't see that trio navigating 3 series in the Western Conference, 3 7-game series where they're likely going to be coming from a 6 seed or worse and having to play the Spurs and or the Thunder to get through. Like, I just don't see it. Actually, if they're a 7 or 8 seed, it actually will help them because they'll still have to play both. They'll play one in the first round, and if they beat them there, then they'll play the other one in the West Finals. So it's just a non-starter for me. I just don't think. And look, to your point, Will, LeBron, I mean, whatever you want to assume that he's doing, steroids, or whatever, if he's just taking really good care of his body, whatever it is, even if he's using, even if he has every cocktail of HGH, hormones, steroids, and everything coursing through his body, he's still playing at a ridiculously high level for 41. So he can, and he played 60 some games. So like he absolutely can still play and be a factor, at least in the box score, if he wants to stat pad and pack his stats up even more. Can he be a contributor on a contending team? Probably not at this point, unless he's willing to take a massive haircut. Again, I know he spray paints his hair, but if he's willing to take less money, is what I'm saying, then I maybe then, but I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants to be a third option. And he's not even a second option on a championship team unless he's a second option on Oklahoma City and they're just playing elite defense. They get rid of J-Dub and they're just playing elite defense around Shea and LeBron, and LeBron's a second option on that team. But like on a team that actually needs their second option to score something more than 15 to 20 points a game, to win games, I think he is more of a third option now, but I don't know that he wants to be. So maybe it is time to retire, but I don't think that he will. He ain't going out like that. And he wants his flowers on a retirement tour. All right, John is back in again. What's up, John? Is this go ahead. Gary, do you want to read this or do you want me to? I'll read it. Gary, I'm not liberal. Other opinions don't offend me. That's what John O'Ratcliffe wants to chime in with. Well, John, you're certainly welcome on this live stream. There will be this is a judgment-free live stream right here. And other opinions
to me because I said to him earlier that you and him were going to have different opinions, because I thought I heard you either on Fearless or on a video saying that Giannis to Boston would be good along with Jason Tatum. I thought I heard you say that, which is why I thought you were going to oppose what he said, but evidently I misremembered. So I guess you didn't say that.
I'll tell you this, Gary, I probably did mention it. I think it might happen. So that's why I might have mentioned it. I think it could happen, and I think I could understand the justifications behind it, but I certainly wouldn't pull the trigger on that if I were making the calls in Boston. I would try to get, if I were trying to hunt down, I would want to keep Tatum and Brown and Giannis if I can. They've got enough assets at their disposal that they could probably make that happen if they wanted to, or engage a third team to get to send players, and then they could send their picks. So I do like Tatum, or I do like Giannis in Boston. I do, but not, I would try to keep their big two intact. And if I had to get rid of one of them, it would not be Brown. I think Brown is.
But Brown is disgruntled right now. Tatum's not. I think that's the big difference, because it looks like Boston, aside from Giannis, may have to move him, because when your employee is constantly complaining about the company, it's just inevitable that there has to be a parting ways.
Yeah, and I really like Brown. So like, I didn't like him putting the back brace on and crawling on the live stream and whining about the officials after they lost to the Knicks. I'm sorry, after they lost to the Sixers. I did not care for that. But other than that, he plays defense. He doesn't flop. He's a great scorer. He's a durable player. He's a smart player. I would be willing. Like I said, I'd take him for Denver. I'd go Jamal Murray straight up on that. They make the same money, basically, same year. They're both all NBA selected players this year. I would, if he's disgruntled and he wants to move on. Look, the Nuggets need a fresh start. Jamal Murray needs to go somewhere else. So why not? Like, I would do that for sure. And maybe, who knows? Maybe Boston would. Maybe that is a deal that could get done. Possibly, who knows? Although I want to turn Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon into multiple players. Like, I want multiple guys, like an Ausar Thompson, maybe, that it scores, not him, because I don't think I think he's untouchable. But like a guy that scores 7 points per game, but is an absolute stud defensively. That's all. The Nuggets need like 4 of those guys. Give me 4 dudes that score 7 points per game, but are absolute lockdown defenders. And the Nuggets are going to win 65 games and be championship contenders next year. Like, they don't need this foolishness of all of this offensive personnel around Jokic. Sir, I'm not sure what this means, Gary, but he just says, let him know. Is that for me, Gary? Am I just supposed to let him know, I guess? Am I letting them know right now? Okay. Hopefully, sir. Hopefully, Sir G 3366, I am letting them know, and I will continue to do so. JXY YSXVAGE8295. It's like an eye test, and I'm on like 3 hours of sleep every day for the last like 9 days. So hopefully I passed the exam. JXY, what's up? Welcome in. Gary, what's the question or comment from him?
Yeah, Jay, you're gonna go ahead and read this, because I'm not listening to this BS right now. I don't even want to say that. You go ahead and say it, Jay.
Jalen Duren is us and needs to be traded right now. Hey, JXY, I'm with you. Let's work it out right now, me and you together. How's this? I'll send you both Jamal and Aaron Gordon for Jalen Duren and Ausar Thompson straight up. That fixes all the problems. You guys need more. You want more offense in Detroit? You got it. Look, when Aaron Gordon, but when he got hurt, he was scoring like 17, 18 points per game. Jamal Murray, 25 points per game this year. I'll send you those two, and you give me assy Jalen Duren and assy Ausar Thompson. I'll do it in a heartbeat. Obviously, they're both making $12 million, whereas those other two guys, Gordon and Murray, are making $85 million. So the contracts don't exactly match up. So we're probably going to have to engage a couple teams on that one. But I'm here for it. I'll do it for sure. Will N8664 back in again. Will, welcome back again for like a
good job on flipping that. Good job.
What's that?
Good job flipping that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to engage another team or two, Gary, because the contracts don't really work out there. But hey, the Nuggets are also they're near the second apron. So I'm sure they would like the savings as well. So,
Well, I mean, the way that guy was taking a dump on Duran, and then you indirectly actually gave him praise. So I appreciated that, because I'm just really annoyed right now the way everyone is turning on the Pistons because they lost a tough game. This is their first playoff run. They haven't been to the playoffs in 7 years. They've got a bunch of young guys. You guys are shitting on them because they choked. This is what young teams do in the playoffs. What, did you think they were going to go into the finals and run it over OKC or San Antonio this year? These fans are so fickle, prisoner of the moments. It's just so annoying. They changed their mind, not series by series, game by game in the series. Now they're shitting all over Cade Cunningham. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy's 24 years old. This is his first playoff run. You know how fucking good this guy has been? And now oh yeah, so sorry. He only had 39 fucking points tonight. Wow. Why is he even in the league? Just go ahead and cut Fade Cunningham, as everyone's calling him now. Only 39 points at 24 years old in his first playoff run. Have you not seen the improvements, the drastic improvements Detroit has made? They haven't been to the playoffs in 7 years. They make it. They overcome a 3-1 deficit. They're in the same pot as the Spurs. They're young. They're growing. This is a process for them. And you guys act like these are NBA veterans that are just taking a dump in their pants. But yo, let's praise fucking James Harden, because he finally, after 15 years, didn't shit his pants tonight. So now all of a sudden, Cade sucks and James Harden is the hero. You guys are so fickle and annoying.
Okay, Gary, thank you. Let's put you in timeout for a moment. I think we found the Gary rant. We found what he alluded to, something which I didn't know what it was, but now I honestly didn't know. But we inadvertently found what Gary was upset about, which is this. I'll say this. He's not wrong. Look, again, their best players really are in their early 20s. So you can't, and quite frankly, I didn't think they would win this series. Now, when you're up 9 with 2 minutes to go up 3-2, like that, I mean, you got to close that game out. But nonetheless, like they have, it's an incomplete team, an imperfect roster at this point. And you do need something out. Like, I'm being serious. It's definitely not going to be Jalen Duren, and it probably won't be Ausar Thompson, but they do need to make some deal. And maybe there's someone like Jamal Murray or something like that. I don't think the contracts are just too off. It would have to be like a sign and trade. They would have to sign Jalen Duren to like a $200 million extension and trade him for Jamal Murray or something like that. Would have to be, or Ausar Thompson or something along those lines. But maybe something like that. But the criticisms, it's a tough loss. It is kind of a choke. But like Cade Cunningham, you can't really blame him, I don't think. Like, of all the players or people or whatever you might want to blame for Detroit, Cade ain't it. Like that he's been an absolute stud this postseason. And he made a great shot in overtime. It looked like a 3. His foot was just on the line. It would have cut the lead to 1, but they reviewed it and it became a 2. And then it was just like a foul game back and forth. But tough loss, tough run in the playoffs. But overall, great year for Detroit and a great building block season, I think. Will N8664 is back in. Gary, what does Gary, are you ready to read this one? Do you feel okay? Okay, Gary's back, everybody. Go ahead with Will's question or comment.
Hey, I never left. Honestly, at this point, I can't really disagree with Will here. Daryl Morey deserves more hate than Nico Harrison. Paul George contract, extending Embiid contract, and letting Jared McCain go. Shaking my head. Can't disagree.
Yeah, you'll get no pushback from me either on this one, quite frankly. You make a compelling case, one that I won't even try to put up an argument about. And yet, with that said, I would take Daryl Morey in Denver. That's how bad Denver's front office is. That's how bad of an organization that is. I would actually take him there. And I don't think very highly of Daryl Morey, and I don't want him. I wouldn't want him if I was any other team. But if I was the Denver Nuggets and their bum loser front office, I think I likely would take him on there. Go ahead, Gary.
This is what you and I disagree. Up until last year, I was in total agreement about Denver's management. But when they signed Hardaway and traded Porter for Caleb and got the Jonas guy, we all agreed that was good. The problem with Denver, the roster can't stay healthy. The roster, if healthy, is actually good and actually well constructed. Their problem are injuries. That's all I was disagreeing with you about. I didn't say they were going to win a championship. I said if that roster was fully healthy, if Aaron Gordon was healthy, if Peyton Watson was healthy, and I added if Jamal Murray actually, his shot was consistent, I said they could beat anybody. And I actually stand by that. The problem is they can't stay healthy, but that's not management's fault.
Disagree. I think the team building was thoroughly flawed around Jokic from the beginning. You got to look at him from the beginning and realize at 25, you knew what you had. He was the league MVP. He had one of the best seasons in NBA history, single season in NBA history at 25 to win the MVP. You got to look at this guy and say, this dude is an elite offensive cog. And he has become since maybe the best singular offensive machine in NBA organized basketball history. It wasn't hard to determine that he wasn't very athletic, that he wasn't going to be a very stellar rim protector, and that he was going to be less than defensively stellar. So, like, what you really needed to do was get an elite rim protector that could play alongside and off of him, or ideally both, but at least one, elite perimeter defenders, like two elite perimeter point of attack defenders. Because if you have that, there wouldn't be the onslaught onto the basket. Now, ideally, you get both those things, elite perimeter defenders and a rim protector to play off of him. What the Denver Nuggets did was none of it. They did nothing. They just kept strapping offensive pieces around him that can't defend at all. So that Nikola Jokic, who is not an elite defender, is the best defender on the team, by and large, most of the time. And the guy that has to protect the rim and defend the basket. It's a ridiculous philosophy that the front office used to build the team, and they have terrible contracts. Zeke Nnaji has been making $8 million a year for like 6 years and playing like 2 games of playoff run and like 6 minutes in those 2 games. Christian Brown is now making $25 million a year. Jamal Murray, that contract was always putrid. But look, those were different. That was different people. So the guys now that did the moves that were good in this offseason, trading Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson, bringing in Jonas Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway Jr. Those guys now have to do their job, and they have to look at this roster and say, totally flawed. We can't compete with San Antonio and Oklahoma City. We can't. We need to get the pieces that they have, long, athletic, defensive guys. And to do that, you got to flip a lot of these contracts. So it's got to be a busy year now moving forward for the Denver Nuggets front office. All right, Giuseppe's in. He wants to know, Gary, what our biggest NBA disagreement is. Gary's already had his one rant of the night, so we're not gonna incense Gary with this question. But I would just assume, Gary, maybe you will disagree with me. and I'm welcome to hear your input in this. I would assume that it is the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook conversation. He said Gary does not know. We honestly don't disagree on much. So we typically do agree or see eye to eye on most things sports related. And I don't really even know how much we ultimately disagree on Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So, like, we would have to define the parameters of the conversation before we have it. Ultimately, we might not even disagree that much, believe it or not.
That's why I shrugged.
Right. Okay, John O'Radcliffe back in yet again, man. John is making it rain right now in the sponsor area here at Skap Live After Dark. John, thank you very much. A prolific night of Super Chats for you. I see a couple more actually coming up as well. Thank you, John. Gary, what is this next comment from John?
2-on-2, the Dream and Diesel versus Wemby and Holmgren. How much is the hospital bill for the two toothpicks after they get beaten to death? Well, why don't we make it more interesting and take Hakeem and Wemby versus Shaq and Holmgren, a big guy and a skinnier guy? Why don't we do that and make it more fair?
Well, I don't know how fair that would be, Gary, because you're taking the better of the two historic players and then the better of the two current players and putting them together. To make a fair 2-on-2 game, you would probably do Olajuwon and Chet and Shaq and Wemby. If it was Wemby and Hakeem, that's an easy. They definitely win that series. That's a no-brainer. They destroy Chet and Shaq in my estimation. If it's John's original premise here, the Dream and the Diesel versus Wemby and Holmgren, my money's definitely on Hakeem and Shaq. And look, as great as a defender as Victor Wembanyama is, and he is a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. And look, Shaq was listed at 7'2", 350. But I don't think he was 7'2". I think he was like 6'11". I don't think he really was quite even 7 feet. So Wemby ain't 7'4". He's listed at 7'4". He's like 7'6". That dude is mutating. Like, when I see him stand next to Nikola Jokic is up to his like shoulder. Like, not even. Like he's bigger than 7'4". So Wemby might be 7'6" and Shaq might only be like 6'11". So like Wemby might have like a half a foot on Shaq. But with that said, there's no way that dude can stand in one-on-one and defend Shaq. Like, there's just no way. And then Hakeem Olajuwon, I mean, arguably the best defensive big. I'd say he's the second best defensive big ever behind Bill Russell. And I think he's the second best offensive big ever behind Nikola Jokic. So he's a problem in and of his own right. John, yes, somebody could get seriously hurt in that game. Wemby's got a little bit more muscle on him this year. Chet's out here looking like Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, can this man eat a sandwich and lift some weights in the offseason, for God's sakes? We've got Stanky 2304 in. What's up, Stanky? Welcome in. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Gary, go ahead with the question or comment from Stanky.
I used to think LeBron was the GOAT. Skap is like basketball's Jehovah's Witness converting people. Gary, how would you describe your channel?
Well, I'll answer the first part. Gary actually has a couple channels. He has a sports channel, and then he has a different channel as well that he could talk to if he would like. Thank you, Stanky. That's very high praise. It's hard. Like, these are hard line viewpoints and beliefs. Like, it's hard to change people's opinions on these things. So I try my best. I think probably the majority of my audience are people that just like-minded people that agree with me already off the bat and just are looking to me for reinforcements or whatever, or to have messaging to give other people in their lives that disagree with them. But every once in a while, I do hear about these stories where I've changed someone's outlook or philosophy on some of these fundamental takes that they have, built their sports fandom around to some degree. So that is high praise indeed. And thank you very much for sharing that with me. And thank you for being around and supporting me still now moving forward. I appreciate it, Stanky. I'll turn it over to Gary to, if he would like to, in whatever detail, discuss his channel.
I mean, I have several channels. I have a sports channel. I don't put out nearly as many videos as Skap, but similar content. But I do more like deeper dives into exposing like LeBron James and Clutch Sports. I made a slew of those videos. So I think that's probably what some of you may be interested in. It's just called Gary 828 Sports Talk, if any of you want to check it out. I also have one called Gary 828 Movie Takes. I just started doing movie reviews on, if any of you want to check that out. And believe it or not, I actually have a soap review channel. Jay has watched some of those videos where I actually do product reviews. So that would be Gary 828 soap reviews. So anyone wants to check any of those out, that's cool. But I figure that probably the majority of you aren't really all that interested in any of my channels aside maybe from the sports one.
I only have one channel at the moment. There are several other channels I would like to start, but I have still just only one at the moment. And I will not be starting anything in the middle of the playoffs, but maybe in the off season. I've been wanting to start a couple others, so maybe something down the pike. I will. If I do, you guys will definitely know about it. Ruthless Raider 78 is in next. I'll take this one. Gary he's targeting Zion again for a third day in a row. 2 days ago, Zion drinks butter. Man, I forget what his one from yesterday was, but it was good. It was a good one.
He bathes, showers with honey mustard.
Right. Honey mustard. And now today, Zion wears caramel cologne. And I don't disagree with any of these. I feel like they're all very probable. Gary, caramel or caramel?
I think both are acceptable.
Which do you say, though?
Caramel is what I say.
Okay. We're on the caramel page there together. All right. D. Jiang is back in now. A regular checking in again, basically in here every night. Basically all of you guys in here are essentially mostly here every night. So thank you guys all. What's this one from D. Jiang say, Gary?
Do you think Kobe's 2010 Lakers could beat both today's Knicks or OKC? Your choice of rules.
Yes, I think that the 2010 Lakers could beat the Knicks. No, I do not think the 2010 Lakers could beat the Thunder. The 2010 Lakers really look, that Laker team really wasn't that good. It honestly wasn't. Like the team itself. Now, the Shaq Kobe team, I think specifically the 2001 team is the best team in NBA history, the best single season team in NBA history. But his Pau Gasol teams, quite frankly, that was all about how great Kobe was, because that team, realistically, it wasn't that good. The fact that he went to 3 consecutive finals and won back-to-back championships against an absolute gauntlet of teams, like that is more about Kobe, that run, and how great and individually excellent he was. Not about how good that team was, because quite frankly, to me, that team wasn't really all that good at all. It wasn't the best team in the NBA when they were winning those championships. I think they would beat the Knicks, though. But Oklahoma City, no. I mean, this Thunder team is one of the best teams ever assembled. I think they would beat every team this century except for the Lakers, the 2001 Lakers. I think they would beat the Durant, Curry, Golden State Warriors. This team is so loaded. They're just too deep, too defensively geared. So no, the 2010 Lakers certainly aren't beating this Oklahoma City team. All right. Le President is in. Le President is in. Welcome in, Mr. or La President. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the question or comment and the support. Gary, what's the question or comment?
Where do you personally rank Moses Malone? 3 MVPs in a ring like Joker, but joined a super team. Also, we need to know your top 10 centers.
Oh, I mean, that really puts me on the spot to just do 10 off the top of my head. I mean, I can name the ones that are like obviously in my the upper echelon. I would say first of all, Moses Malone is probably somewhere in my top 13 to 14 all time. He was a beast. His ring not quite as good as Jokic's, I don't think, because he had Dr. J, who was still an elite player at the time. I think Dr. J was like 32, a little bit older, but still an elite player. And quite frankly, that 1983 team that had Moses Malone on it that won the championship was one of the best, like one of the 6 best single season teams ever. So I just was talking about the 2001 Lakers, the 1983 faux Sixers that won with Moses and Dr. J, one of the 5 or 6 best single season teams ever. They just ran through a crazy stacked finals run, whole playoff run. The teams they played and beat in that playoffs, highly impressive. And the fact that they went 12-1 through those playoffs, they only lost 1 game. Moses, like Jokic, didn't have much success otherwise. Like I think Moses went to 2 finals, and he got out of the first round only like 4 times in his career. So out of like 13-year playoff run, I think, and he only got out of the playoff or the first round 4 times and into the finals twice, won 1 of them. But yeah, he won 3 league MVPs. I think he led the league in rebounding like 5 or 6 times. He's somewhere in my like top 14-ish. All-time centers. I mean, the easy ones, the low-hanging fruit ones, obviously. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon. Gary, thumbs up or thumbs down? You think of Tim Duncan as a 4 or a 5? Is he a 4? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? 4? Yeah, okay. Some people designate him as a 5. I think of him as a 4. So, Hakeem, Kareem, Russell, Wilt, Shaq, Jokic, Moses Malone, and off the top of my head, that's 7. Off the top of my head, like I'd have to think more and like dig in more, do a little more research to see who exactly I would fill out the remainder of the last 3. It's not something I don't classify positions that much. I think more just about overall rankings and stuff. But those 7 to me are definitely like my top 7. And then I'd have to think otherwise. Oh, I mean, George Mikan, easy George Mikan. Even though many of you, he's from the 50s, so that's 8. So I would need to fill out 2 more still. But I'm not comfortable off the top of my head rolling that out. All right, Le President is back to back 2 in a row. Thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome back. And good question, by the way, making me think about those centers. Gary, what's the second one from Le President?
Also, Skap, you rank Kobe ahead of guys like Magic and Bird because they didn't win difficult championships, yet have Curry below them.
I don't think Curry necessarily won difficult championships either. The 2 that he got with Durant couldn't have possibly have been any easier. I know they went 16-1 on one run, and then 16-3 on the other run. And it was Curry and KD were 2 of the 3 best players in the world at that time. It was KD, Curry, and LeBron. So, and Hall of Famers and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson flanking. So those 2 rings are ass, quite frankly. They're ass. This is why I don't like Curry. And then I talked about those other rings. Look, a highly lucky ring the first run. Highly lucky. They bypass all of the best teams in the West. They bypass on a lucky run in 2014. Then they get to the NBA Finals, and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving both get hurt in the first game and never return. So Matthew Dellavedova was the second option for LeBron on the Cavaliers in that finals. And still, the Cavs were up 2-1. So like that's a trash ring in my estimation. Then the fourth ring, again, very lucky. They play Jokic in the first round, and Jokic doesn't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Then they get into play Memphis in the next round, and Ja Morant is busting Steph Curry's ass. Ja Morant is the best player on the floor in that series, by far. He gets hurt. He plays only 3 games in the series. The Grizzlies still take them 6. I think then the West Finals, they get the very young Luka Doncic and Dallas Mavericks, who weren't ready for that spot, that platform. And this is a team that had Curry, Clay, Dre, and Andrew Wiggins, who made his one only career All-Star game that year and was a pivotal piece in that run. And then they get into the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics, who are dogs and just barf and choke and crap themselves. Boston was up 2-1 in that series, and Jason Tatum went poo-poo in his pants. So I'm not very impressed with any of Steph Curry's rings. And that's why I have him below guys like Bird and Magic. And also the reason I have Kobe above Bird and Magic, and this also doesn't apply to Steph Curry, is because Kobe Bryant, in addition to being like a top 3 all-time scorer, is also one of the best perimeter defenders in NBA history. He was one of the most elite 2-way players ever. He has the most all-NBA team defense selections other than Tim Duncan has 15, Kobe has 12. No one has more than those 2 all time. So Curry certainly doesn't apply as a 2-way player, nor does Magic Johnson. Bird, a little bit of an underrated defender. But I can understand cases for Steph Curry as high as like 8 or 9, like right around. Look, I've got Magic and Bird. I've got Bird at 6, Magic at 7. I could see a case for Curry around 7 or 8. Like I could see him right in that same tier. I have Curry more at like 11 or 12, but I could see him in the same tier as Bird and Magic. D. Jiang is back in. Go ahead with D. Jiang's most recent question or comment, Gary.
LeBron is famously polarizing. Do you think all the debates he sparked have actually brought more eyes and fans to the NBA than anyone else?
I don't know. It's probably a wash because I think LeBron is the main guy credited for the destruction of the NBA and driving away many of their viewership. I mean, look, Michael Jordan was drawing his 90s last run with the Bulls and against the Jazz in 98, the last dance. That drew like 30 million viewers. Like some of the Kobe championships were still at like 21 million viewers. LeBron James in the bubble for presumptively his last championship ever drew 7 million viewers per game. 7. It was the least ever in tracking data history once they started watching those things in like the 1980s. So 7 million people tuning in to see the alleged GOAT or top 2 all-time player win probably his last ring, or at least one of his last rings, at a time where there was nothing else to do because there was a global pandemic going on and everything was shut down. 7 million people tuning in. And now this year, look, LeGoat James, arguably the best player ever, or a top 2 or 3 player ever. Again, I don't have him there, but many do. Playing on the most storied franchise in NBA history in the LA Lakers in what could be his last game ever in his career. Retirement is on the table. So if game 4 was to be his last game, and the chances were high that it was going to be, that could have been his last game ever in NBA history. It at the very least has a very real possibility of being his last game ever as a Laker. Get-in prices for that game, a playoff game, were $90. There were $90 tickets available. I was at Michael Jordan's last game ever when he played with the Washington Wizards at the Philadelphia 76ers. I was at that game. It was the last regular season game. The Wizards didn't even make the playoffs. Paid like $500 for that ticket. Back in like 2003 or whenever it was. I was at Kobe Bryant's last game ever when he played in Staples and scored 60 on the Jazz. The 17-65 LA Lakers, not even remotely close to the playoffs. I paid over $1,000 for that ticket to be at in the upper tiers. LeGoat James's maybe last game ever, and realistically, possibly his last game as a Laker. A playoff game in the second round, $90. So DJing, no. I think whatever he's brought or whoever he's brought to the game to watch, he's driven away at least that many, if not more, and turned that many people off, because he is the godfather of the destruction of the NBA. He is the first guy since the 80s, 40, 50 years ago, that is leaving the sport in markedly worse shape than the sport that he inherited. So I'm not giving LeBron credit for anything, quite frankly, DJing. All right, Ruthless Raider 78 is back in presumptively with another Zion Williamson tweet or I'm sorry, message. Go ahead. Again, guys, it's been a long few days. Go ahead, Gary, and read this one for me.
Could Zion defeat Steven Seagal in a fight to the death for some lemon pepper hot wings? Well, Ruthless, can you clarify for us? Are you talking about prime Steven Seagal or Steven Seagal today? Because there's a big difference.
Yes, Gary, but Steven Seagal today still has the moves. Look, he still has the knowledge and the skill set, even though he's 400 pounds now.
No, he doesn't. Have you seen his movies? He is horrific.
Well, no, Gary. Who watches his movies in 2026? But
I watched the Space Ice movies, and he pokes fun at Steven Seagal's last movies over the last decade. And Steven Seagal looks like he's like heaving just by talking.
But Gary, have you seen Steven Seagal Lawman, where he is in fact a real sheriff? And
that's like 2 decades. Isn't that 20 years ago?
I don't know. He's 450 pounds in that one too. So I feel like, anyway, Gary, it's a catch-22.
He's old now.
You might think that he's less skillful as a fighter now, but back in the day, he was like $180 and Zion's 400 pounds. So now Steven Seagal's got four bells on him too. So he at least is in the same weight class as Zion. I think that's a good battle, actually, Ruthless. How old is Steven Seagal? Let me just do a quick cursory. Let me do a quick cursory Google search. Wow, he's 74 years old. 1952 he was born in. I did not think he was that old. I would probably, if I was handicapping this Ruthless Raider, I would install Zion Williamson as a significant betting favorite in this showdown. But good question. By the Bounce 49 is up next. What's up By the Bounce? Welcome in, Gary. What is the question or comment from By the Bounce?
What, in your estimation, would a title mean for the legacies of the remaining teams/players left in the playoffs?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of teams still left in the playoffs. The teams that are through, right now would be the Knicks and the Thunder, obviously. A championship this year for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would mean a lot. Right now, he could just be a flash in the pan, just like a one-hit wonder. I don't think he will be. This team is too big to fail. But if he gets a back-to-back titles, back-to-back 60-win teams, back-to-back league MVPs, back-to-back finals MVPs, I mean, we're talking he's up there with the greatest guards of all time. Like the only, I don't think of him as a point guard. He might be classified as that. I think of him as a 2. The only guys that would be definitively ahead of him at that point, to me, would be definitely Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and probably Jerry West. But other than that, you can argue that he's above Dwayne Wade at this point if he gets this ring. So that ring would really move the needle quite a bit for SGA. The other team that's through right now, the Knicks, Jalen Brunson will become maybe the greatest Knick ever with the championship this year. If he ends the 55-year drought and wins a chip, the first chip since the early 70s, and does it in this emphatic of a fashion that they've gone through the first 10 games of these playoffs, and then what would entail him beating a juggernaut from the West to do it, he would be the greatest Knick ever. So that's a lot on the line for him too. Now looking at some of the other guys, James Harden, if James Harden got a championship this year this way as an integral piece to this puzzle in Cleveland and coming from relative obscurity and out of nowhere to get it, I think that does rewrite some of the history of James Harden, and it would repair some of the legacy that he's kind of flushed with his numerous and storied pants-shitting sessions in the playoffs. And his individual resume has him as a top 5 guard ever, that nobody, including myself, puts him as, because he's such a choke artist in the playoffs. So if he gets one, that really changes the narrative to some degree for him too. The Pistons doesn't do much for any of them. They're all so young. The team, it would maybe mean, but they've won this century. There's bigger droughts out there, or is there? Well, yeah, the Knicks for sure, and the Timberwolves for that matter. The Timberwolves have never won, so that would mean a great deal to that team, and to Anthony Edwards, who I talk shit on consistently and say he's not even close to the top 5. He's a fringe top 10 all-time player. If Ant-Man comes back from this 3-2 hole, beats the Spurs, goes on and beats the Thunder, goes in and beats the Knicks, rips the Timberwolves' first championship ever, I think you start talking Ant-Man top 3 or 4 already overnight. From someone who says that he's not even top, I think he's like maybe 8th or 9th best in the league. I would say he jumps all the way to he's maybe top 2 or 3 if he does that. The Spurs, Victor Wembanyama instantly becomes the best player on earth overnight if he wins a championship this year. Did I hit every single team? I think so. Anyway, there is a lot riding for all of these teams, really.
Did you mention the Pistons?
I did. I think they have the least to gain. They've won relatively recently, 04. They're all very young. So I think they honestly have the least to gain. Probably the Spurs have the next least to gain just because they're so young and they're going to have so many more cracks at it. And people already think Wembanyama is maybe the best player already now as it is, or definitely top 3. So I don't think much to gain or lose for really either the Spurs or Pistons. I think James Harden's got a lot to gain. I think Brunson's got a lot to gain. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a lot to gain. Now those players don't necessarily have all that much to lose. And the Timberwolves are a humongous long shot. So I'm not really going to spend much discussing the prospect or the possibility of them doing it. But pretty much all of these teams and all of these players have a great deal to gain. So it really will be an impactful championship, whoever gets it. All right, Ruthless Raider 78 back in again. Go ahead with this latest one, Gary, from him.
Will LeBron ride Space Mountain with Ric Flair?
Man, I hope so. That would be terrific. I don't think Ric Flair thinks very highly of LeBron James, though. So I'm not sure how we can facilitate that kind of a pairing.
He loves LeBron.
He does?
Huge LeBron fan.
Who am I thinking of that Ric Flair has been talking shit on lately?
That was Luka because he didn't play.
Okay.
But Luka couldn't. It's a hamstring injury, so even if he took the shot of cortisone, it's still not going to really help Luka run. It would just help him deal with pain. And you don't do a cortisone shot unless it's like a game 7, and then you can recover. But you're not going to take a cortisone shot every game of a series, especially when you're inevitably going to lose anyways.
So maybe that will happen. Maybe we can work out Ric Flair and LeBron on Space Mountain together.
But LeBron doesn't like Ric Flair.
So no, wait a second. Ric Flair loves LeBron, but LeBron doesn't like Ric Flair. Well, why is that?
I'm not quite sure. I have a theory, but I don't have anything to back it, so I won't say it. But yeah, LeBron, like when Ric Flair was like acknowledging him at a game, like LeBron like snubbed him. He didn't want anything to do with the Nature Boy. So
interesting. All right, 81 Dai is in next. What's up, 81? Welcome into you. Gary, I'll take this one. I've already looked at it. So he wants to know 2017 Warriors versus 96 Chicago Bulls. Who wins the series? How many games? The 17 Warriors they're an elite team. They are. They're top 10 all-time single season team. 73-9 Warriors. Add Kevin Durant. I still think, God, I'm telling you, this Thunder team is so deep, so elite on the perimeters defensively. Like, think about all the guys they have to throw at. I know the question is about the 96 Bulls, but all the guys they have to throw at Curry and Durant on the perimeters. I mean, they're elite, like 4 all-NBA defensive caliber perimeter players, and then the 2 best defensive bigs in the world, not named Chet Holmgren, basically, or not named Victor Wembanyama, basically, with Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. So, and that Warriors team is very small. Like Draymond played a lot at center. So I do think the Thunder would beat that 17 Warriors team. But anyway, I also think the 96 Bulls beat the 17 Warriors team. Look, some of it depends on the rules. Like, do we have hand checking and the physicality and stuff that the 96 Bulls were allowed to play with? Or do we have today's free-flowing kind of offensive system and rules that were kind of, in a way, built to protect Steph Curry in somewhat of a way, in my estimation? Regardless of what kind of rules are deployed in this series, I would say Bulls in 6 at the most. Like I would lean more towards 5. Bulls in 5. Scottie Pippen is one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever. Michael Jordan is one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever. Dennis Rodman is just one of the greatest defenders ever. I just don't know how Steph Curry and Kevin Durant score on those guys consistently every game. And who the hell is stopping Michael Jordan in that series? Like, I guess they would throw Andre Iguodala or Klay Thompson. Those were their 2 perimeter defensive stoppers. Yeah, good luck on 96 Mike. Good luck with that. Ruthless Raiders 78 back in. Go ahead with this one, Gary.
Is Nick Never Right actually Squidward with hair?
I call him Nick Wrong, but I like Nick Never Right too. I like that. I talked some shit on Nick Wright last night. I did put that video out. It didn't necessarily heavily feature Nick Wright. though, his heinous take on LeBron James's tenure with the Lakers. That's a good question. I don't think he's actually is a cartoon, but he does. Now that you say that, it does look like I could see where you're going with that comp. So that's not a terrible take. Ruthless Raider has some good comps, some good takes, some good analogies. I'm impressed, Ruthless Raider. Keep it up. I love your posts. Okay, John O'Ratcliffe continues to just fan us with cash tonight in the sponsor area. Thank you very much, John. Very, very appreciated. And of course, just you being here in general means a lot to me. Gary, actually, wait, this is to you. Do you want me to read this? Gary, have some money. That rant has earned it. Also, now do a rant about my Jets missing the playoffs for 15 years. I was 17 last time they made the playoffs. What do you say about the Jets, Gary? Do you have anything to say about the Jets?
There's not enough time to talk about how crappy the Jets are. Like, we're already pressing for time as it is. I mean, we'd be here till the sun came up if I was to go on a rant about the Jets. So maybe that'll have to be for another time. But I can confirm, and I think Skap will also confirm, they are garbage.
Yeah, I don't like your chances this year, John. In fact, all of your sports teams, what you want to do, literally, and this is me as a Penn State alum telling you, just focus on Ohio State. Just concentrate on them. They're probably going to win the championship again this year, barring some one-hit wonder like Indiana last year that comes out of nowhere. Ohio State, I would imagine, is going to be preseason 1 or 2, and they'll likely just destroy everybody in the Big Ten and be back in the championship game. So at least, John, you got that going for you, which is nice. Okay, JXY is back in again. I'm not going to try to eye test the rest of that again. But thank you, JXY. Thank you for your continued support here and your continued engagement. Gary, what is the question from JXY?
Cade putting the team on his back, and it's their second run. And Duran been asked all playoffs. That's why they benched him. And I'm a Jokic fan.
They did bench him, Gary. That's not wrong. This game had 5 extra minutes, which means whatever, 48, 53. There was 53 minutes played tonight in this basketball game, and Jalen Duran played in only 25 of them. So whatever it is, the way the structure of both these series, because Orlando packed the paint and removed Duran from that series, and now it's happening again this series. I would take, look, if you don't want Duran, like, I'll take him. Like, he's the perfect foil for Jokic. Like, you ideally would want your long rim, your rim protector, defensive center to be like a 3-point shooter to space somewhat for Jokic, which Duran doesn't have that ability, but still, whatever. I would take Duran unequivocally. You want Jamal Murray? I'll send you Jamal Murray, and you can do a sign and trade for Duran, JXY. But I love Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is like the Nikola Jokic of guards, basically. Only he has the opposite wrong problem. While Jokic has his team got him no defensive help, Cade Cunningham's team got him no offensive help. So those Cade and Jokic are just straight carry jobs as far as they go. But the good news for Cade is he's only 24. Jokic will be 32, unfortunately for him, coming up in February. So the time
Pistons are a work in progress. They're still constructing that team. And I don't think you mentioned, or at least I didn't hear, Duncan Robinson was out, and he's their sharpshooter. So they severely missed him tonight, because had he hit a couple clutch shots, they probably would have won.
Possibly. I was looking at Duncan Robinson. I was looking at the books. They have him for not a fully guaranteed $15 million for the next 2 years. But yeah, I mean, 12 points per game this year from him. In the playoffs, 11.5. So basically same deal in the playoffs. He's 43% from 3-point in the playoffs, and 41% from the 3-point line in the regular season. So yeah, elite shooter for sure. That absence definitely hurt them tonight. Okay, we've got Giuseppe DeRosa back in, and he wants to know my Charmin Ultra Soft. All right, Gary, am I back? Thumbs up, Gary.
Yeah, I hear you.
Live chat, let me know. Am I on here? I guess I'm having some internet difficulties. Glitch in the matrix. Am I back? I'm back. All right, good. Gary though, Gary, are you here? Okay, I had my internet kicked off. I had to actually, funny you say, the hotspot is cutting it. My internet, someone posted hotspot ain't cutting it. Broy posted that hotspot ain't cutting it. Quite to the contrary, my hotspot is now the only thing carrying me. My internet is out, so the hotspot is now the thing that will carry me to the finish line, presumptively on this show, if it holds up, hopefully. Anyway, hopefully you guys didn't bounce off. It still looks like I still have everybody on. So Giuseppe DeRosa wants to know my Charmin Ultra Soft starting 5. Well, I would be remiss to not start with 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. I know it sounds odd for me to say it, but I've got to start with 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard, because Kobe Bean Bryant himself called Dwight Howard soft and a little bitch. So obviously I'm throwing Dwight Howard on my Charmin Ultra Soft starting 5. Let's see here. Who else can go on there, Gary? We need a 1, 2, 3, and 4. My Ultra Soft 1. Good question. I think I want to go with
Ben Simmons.
I was feeling Trae Young for my 1 spot, but I could do Ben Simmons. I kind of like. Yeah, I like Ben.
He's not soft.
Or should I say Bum Simmons?
Yeah, Trae is just inconsistent. I don't think he's soft. Like Ben Simmons has like a soft mindset. Trae's not scared. Trae's like he can be dumb, but he's not scared at the moment. He's a little too bold for his own good. Like he wants to shoot from half court and stuff like an idiot. But Ben Simmons, on the other hand, he is just flat out scared. So I would put Ben way above Trae. And I think Trae is listed as a 1, but he really should be a 2.
You think okay, okay, yeah, that's fair. Let's see here. So we've got Ben at 1. We've got Dwight at 5. So we're saying soft mindset, not necessarily weak or soft players. It would be your interpretation, right, Gary?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I don't know, Gary. You want to throw some suggestions in here? Like I'm kind of drawing blanks. We need a 2, 3, and 4. Like who would be a really soft shooting guard?
You know what? I'm offended right now because you don't have the most glaring, obvious answer. Who is your king?
You think? I mean, LeBron, you would say would be soft. You think?
Have you watched him play?
I mean, he's a lot of things, Gary. Don't get me wrong.
How did he look in 2011?
I mean, certainly he did look soft there. Okay, so we'll throw LeBron in at 3.
LeBron will be on standby. We may think of somebody, but I mean, LeBron, it's his whole mentality. See, you can be very talented and be soft. Even David Robinson was often called soft. He's extremely talented, But in the clutch, there were times where he really was. He was soft. I can't deny it. I watched him get annihilated by Hakeem. I know Hakeem was good, but it wasn't like the Rockets just edged him out in some tight competitive games. Like, he was running David Robinson. Like, it wasn't even close.
You know what, Gary? I'm gonna have to throw in James Harden for sure at 2. I'm putting little game James at my 2. And then, quite frankly, I kind of want to get Jason Tatum in there, even though I was an ardent defender of him last night. He did sit that game 7 out, and he also chokes in every big game he's basically ever played. Maybe not every game, but he has choked in every big series he's played in. So I would say we roll out Ben Simmons, Jimmy Harden. We'll go with Tatum at 3. We'll upshift LeBron to 4, and then roll Dwight Howard out at 5. I like that. Giuseppe, I hope you like it too. That would be mine and Gary, because he helped me on that. The Charmin Ultra Soft starting 5. Okay, we've got,
and maybe by the end of it, we may have a couple alternates to throw in there.
Okay,
because that's a lot to think about in real time in like 2 to 3 minutes.
Gary, breaking news: we actually have Ric Flair in the chat right now. So Ric Flair is tuned into the show. He's now in the sponsor area, and he's sending. I believe who sent that last question about? Here we go. It was Ruthless Raider. Will the broom ride Space Mountain with Ric Flair? Well, Ric Flair has come in to the chat to let us all know that LeBum will never ride with me, says Rick. So, Rick, thank you. Sir, it's an honor and a privilege to have you here in the Skap Live After Dark with Gary and myself. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for the donation. We do appreciate you tuning in. Wolfsbane now back in yet again. Go ahead, Gary, with this latest from Wolfsbane.
I wouldn't call Magic and Bird's rings as easy. Bird definitely had the harder conference, and Magic had to beat the best team of that conference.
Yeah, Bird, I misspoke. If I said that or indicated that, then that was not my intent. Larry Bird's rings were not easy at all. He was that Eastern Conference back in the day was stacked. They had that Moses Malone, Dr. J Sixers team. They had the Dominique Wilkins Atlanta Hawks. They had a very good Milwaukee team that won 50 games every year. Typically, they had the bad boy Pistons at the back end. Very challenging. Michael Jordan in the middle part came in, like a very challenging conference. And then when he got out of that bullshit loaded ass conference, he then had to play loaded teams from the West. So, yeah, Larry Bird's rings, not easy at all. Magic's rings, very easy. Look, I love Magic. Magic did more with a lot than LeBron, which is why I do have Magic above LeBron, and I think very highly of Magic overall. Also, he's like the best point guard ever and revolutionized the game to some degree. But let's call a spade a spade. The West, when Magic was in it, was almost as weak comparatively to the East at the time as LeBron's East was to like Kobe and Duncan's West. It was that big of a discrepancy. Like Magic went through shit like garbage to get out of the West every year. Straight garbage. And to me, the 80s Lakers, while they wouldn't win a 7-game series against some teams, like I think the 01 Lakers would beat them in a 7-game series. But on paper, that's the greatest team ever assembled. Like they've got Kareem and Magic. I've got Kareem at 3 and Magic at 7 all time, or 8. I think he's 7. So I've got Kareem at 3 and Magic at 7 all time. And then James Worthy is like a top 50 all-time player. And they had other elite supporting pieces around those guys. So like the Lakers, 80s Lakers, arguably the biggest super team ever in a preposterously weak conference. Now, Magic, like I said, did more with more, than LeBron. Like LeBron 4 and 6, Magic 5 and 4 in his 9 finals appearances. And he lost to some really good teams in the finals. Obviously, Bird's teams. He lost to the Sixers team that I talked about, top 6 all-time team. He lost to the Bad Boys Pistons team, and he lost to Jordan. So Magic's losses were the 83 Sixers, the Bird's 86 team, which is like one of the 6 greatest teams ever. One of the Bad Boys Pistons team, I think it was 90. And then he lost to Jordan's 91 first championship team. Like, you can't get better losses in the finals than that, quite frankly. But easy to get out into the finals for Magic. And he had a lot of supporting cast. Like Bob McAdoo was like the 5th option on 2 of those teams, I think. Like Bob McAdoo is like an all-time great player. Okay, we've got JXY is back in. Gary, I'll take this one. There is going to be SGA Kobe talks. Yes, there is. 100%. People are going to be saying SGA is on a par with Kobe or beyond Kobe, that SGA is up with prime Michael Jordan now. Yes, there will be. And I will be here, JXY. I will be here. In the face of all of that, I will be here to thwart those commentaries and those narratives the best I can with whatever semblance or level of voice that I possess. Because no matter what Shea does, there's 2 names he's never getting over, Mike and Kobe. We've got Emmanuel back in. I'll take this one too, Gary. Eyes on Westbrook if Harden gets a ring. I don't think Westbrook's ever getting a ring. I don't think Harden's ever getting a ring either. I do not think the Cavs will get through the Knicks. If they do, they will certainly not beat either the Spurs or the Thunder. And then next year, who knows? I think he gets an extension and stays with Cleveland, and they don't win a championship in the rest of his career there. But yes, it's crazy that Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, 3 top 25 to 30 players ever, probably. 3 top 35 to 40 players ever, probably. Came into the NBA basically the same time on the same team. And cumulatively, after they all broke apart and won league MVPs, they have combined in like 35 years of playing time combined. They have combined to win 2 total rings between all 3 of them. And they were straight coattail rings for Kevin Durant with the Golden State Warriors. Like, that is crazy to think about. Okay, John O'Ratcliffe just keeps coming in here and funding our show tonight. Thank you, John. Again, very generous tonight. I appreciate you. Gary, what is the question or comment from John this time?
With how overrated SGA is, with all of his nonsensical foul baiting and crying, how badly would prime Kobe bend him over and take his ass to school?
Look, I know SGA will surpass Kobe in every discernible advanced metric there is. I know that. He will likely have better career averages than Kobe as well. I know that. Kobe would destroy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Kobe is an exponentially better offensive player than Shai, and Shai's not even in the same stratosphere as Kobe as a defender. So he would, yes. John, in your words, he would bend him over. That is for sure. Like I said, Shea this year he's gonna get in conversations with every guard, like 2 guard or off guard or second guard or whatever. Like he's gonna get in conversations if he wins the title this year with Jerry West, with Dwayne Wade, he's past James Harden already. But the 2 guys he'll never be over, the 2 names he'll never get above, no matter what, is going to be Kobe and Mike. All right, Ruthless Raider 78 back in for 2 in a row at least. More to come from Ruthless Raider, but 2 right now coming back to back. Gary, go ahead with these latest 2 from Ruthless Raider.
Yeah, can you and Gary beat Seagal and LeDump in a 2-on-2?
I don't know. Probably not. I haven't touched a ball in 8 years. Gary, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but you are not a large human being, right? If you don't have to tell your exact size, but Gary is not very large. I am 6'2", like 190. And look, Seagal, so I would probably have to take LeBron. And then that means Gary would be in the post trying to defend 450-pound Steven Seagal, who has about 375 pounds on Gary or whatever. I don't know, like 300 plus pounds on Gary. So, and LeBron's got endless amounts of athleticism over me, 6 inches and like 60 pounds or whatever. So, I don't think so, Ruthless Raider. I do not think we could take them on in a 2-on-2. Maybe we could outshoot them in a 2-on-2 horse contest or something, but definitely not a 2-on-2 basketball game. Okay, back to back, like I said, Ruthless Raiders in. Ruthless Raiders in, and he wants everybody to know out there in the chat, or he's asking, does Zion wash his hands with French onion soup? This is a question, actually. All of the other things are just statements by you. But now you're asking, I guess, if all of the other things are true, Ruthless, then why can it not be true also that Zion, hell, maybe he just bathes in French onion soup with the cheese layer on too, mind you. All right, Stump is back in. Go ahead, Gary, with Stump's latest.
Will there be a Space Jam 3? If yes, which NBA star will be in the movie? Well, Giuseppe in the chat, he gave us a good answer. He said it would be KD, except the twist is KD would switch teams in the middle of the movie.
Interesting plot twist. Look, if you want to go with the face of the league or whatever, it should be Wemby. Like, he's young, he's a star, he's got marketability. Now he's French, so I don't know if him not being the Americana tie or whatever that would hurt his case. I don't think so, because basketball is it's not about race, ethnicities, where you're from or what language you speak or whatever. It's just about, can you play? And also in terms of Space Jam and being in a movie and trying to lead a franchise, are you marketable? Can you, like, can you draw viewers? And Wemby is very likable, I think. So I think, look, if it's me, if you're asking for a real answer to the question, I think that you ask Victor Wembanyama. I'm not suggesting that he would say yes to that. Probably, I think he goes Kobe, like Kobe said no to Spike Lee for He Got Game. And I think probably Wemby turns that down to focus on basketball. But if you want to make a third one and you want a real guy that would be a real fit, it would be Wembanyama. And also, he already is an alien. So, like, why not get an alien to combat aliens? Go ahead, Gary.
I was just going to say, I actually think he would do it, because I've seen him wearing a Venom t-shirt. So he's into, like, comics and stuff. And if he's, like, a big comic book nerd at heart, he'd probably relish at the opportunity to star in Space Jam 3 to make up for the crappy Space Jam 2 and be like Mike, because everybody wants to try to be like Mike. I'm willing to bet Kobe probably would have done Space Jam 2 if the opportunity had come up. Even though he didn't want to do the Spike Lee movie, that's different. But since he was such a big fan of Mike, I think he probably would have done Space Jam 2 and should have over LeBron.
Yeah, I mean that would have been something that I think would have been much, much better had that happened. All right, we've got Nick. Nick, I don't know. I don't know that I can even try that at this point. With my sleep deprivation right now, I don't even know if I could attempt pronouncing
Z Myslow. Nick Z Myslow.
Z Myslow. Okay. Well, regardless, Nick, welcome in, Nick. Thanks for being here, brother. Gary, what's the question or comment from him?
How concerned should we be with Cade's turnovers, averaging almost 6 a game these playoffs, and had another 6 tonight?
My concern meter for Cade's turnovers at this point would be somewhere around a 1 right now. I would be not very concerned at all. He averaged 3.7 in the regular season this year, 3.8 for his career. His usage is off the charts. He's got such a heavy burden on his shoulders. With the lack of offensive support surrounding him, that these things happen. Like when you're straining like that, and the margin for error is so small and so limited, and you have such limited amounts of help or support to alleviate the strain and the pressure from you, like something's got to give. He's been masterful in terms of like his scoring and his distribution by and large throughout this postseason. So I wouldn't read too much into the turnovers, quite frankly, Nick. I would be not concerned at all if I were you. Okay, we've got Ruthless back in yet again. He's got a theory here about LeBron's bald spot. Go ahead, Gary.
LeBron's bald spot looks like a raised map of Peru.
So it might have been you, Ruthless. Someone asked if it was like a Rorschach test the other night. If LeBron's bald spot was like a Rorschach test. And I said, maybe it is. I typically see the crying Jordan meme in LeBron's bald spot. So, but Ruthless sees the map of Peru. Knowing that, I'm going to have to look at it. You know, like those pictures where you put your nose to it and then pull away, you're supposed to see some picture in the dots or whatever. And sometimes you just can't see it. But if someone tells you what it is, then you could see it. Maybe now knowing the map of Peru suggestion, I'll have to look at his bald spot sometime and see if I can see it. Okay, Joshua CH9FG is in next. What's up, Joshua? Welcome into you. Thanks for being here. Again, as always, a regular. Gary, what's the question or comment right now from Joshua?
I hope Cavs win the series. More incentive for the super team to go back home and leave my Lakers. Also, throw in Jeremy Lin for the Charmin team.
Great suggestion. That's a great suggestion. Jeremy Lin is a little bitch. I heard him recently. I'm so tired of people crying like little bitches about Kobe, like years and years after. Like when Smush Parker from like the Chinese basketball league was crying about, oh, Kobe wouldn't talk to me and he made me change my clothes in a broom closet. And now, like a few months ago, it was Jeremy Lin talking about how he challenged Kobe one time via text at like 4 a.m. after a tough loss, and Kobe didn't speak to him for 6 months. Like, boo-hoo, Jeremy Lin. Get out of here with these stupid Kobe slander things like 10 years, 15 years later. I will take it. Under consideration will be Jeremy Lin on the Charmin team. And Joshua, you do want Cleveland to advance this time, but you don't want them to look too competitive because you don't want, it's a fine line. You want LeBron to think, oh, they've got enough that I can maybe win with, but you can't have them look so good that it looks like LeBron's just coattailing. So I think you might want them to lose in 6-ish to the Knicks would be my guess for what you want to root for. But I'm rooting for you though, Joshua. I want LeBron off of your Lakers as well. Okay, Stump 4522 is back in with their own suggestion for a soft Sharman starting five. I like it, Gary. Can you read this to us?
My ultra soft Sharman starting five: point guard D'Angelo Russell, shooting guard James Harden, 3 Michael Porter Jr., power forward AD, 5 DeAndre Ayton. I think AD was just injured. I think when you say the soft team, I think you're mostly talking about mentally, because if we're talking about fragility of the body, I mean, you have to start throwing Embiid in there. I mean, it's more of a mindset, I think. And AD, I'm not a fan of AD at all, but I wouldn't say he's soft. I think that he's just injured. And Porter's just really inconsistent of a shooter, but I didn't really think he was soft per se. DeAndre Ayton, I do.
I actually agree with Michael Porter Jr. and DeAndre Ayton. I think those are two good entries. I agree with you on AD. But DeAndre Ayton, yeah. I mean, that guy, yeah, he's soft as hell. But like my center spot is taken for Dwight because Kobe said that Dwight was soft as hell. So I have to put Dwight in at my 5. Michael Porter Jr., though, that dude's like 6'11". He's a terrible rebounder. He's awful at defense. He evaporates in big games routinely. He himself admitted this year, Gary, I don't know if you heard this, on a podcast like 3 weeks ago, he admitted that he just kind of stopped playing hard and didn't play any defense at all this year after he got snubbed, in his opinion, from the All-Star game. That after he missed out on the All-Star game, he just couldn't bring himself to play as hard, really on either sides of the ball, but definitely on defense. His defense struggled the most after he didn't make an All-Star team. So, I would agree with Michael Porter Jr. for sure. That guy was making like $30 million a year for the Nuggets and scoring like 9 points per game in 7-game playoff series that they were losing. Routinely, he did that. All right, Wolfsbane back in. Go ahead with the go ahead, Gary. Something about Bird's 87 team.
I'd argue that 87 Bird would have won if he's healthy.
Yeah, the 86 team is one of the best teams in NBA history. I think they lost like 2 games at home all year in the regular season and the playoffs. And that was a team, obviously, that had Bill Walton that was finally stayed healthy for a year. He was sixth man of the year that year. They had like 5 Hall of Famers on that team. Just a crazy loaded team. And then the Lakers, I think, won in 87 the next year. So, but I think I agree with you, Wolfspan. I think I lean with you on this take. And then who knows? Bird might be looked at a little differently. I already have Bird above Magic, but I know a lot of people have Magic above Bird. Okay, we've got Dusan Lilik maybe in 14-149. I'm not sure. I probably messed that up. And there's no question or comment, just a super chat here just to support us. Thank you very much. I appreciate you so much for being here and tuning in and supporting me and what we're doing out here on this show. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sorry if I slaughtered your handle there. We've got BPM 5293 up next. Gary, go ahead and read us the question from BPM.
If Cooper Flag gets a chip with the Mavs, will you go to a Dallas area barber and request the Dumont?
I don't know what that is. I'm not going to say yes to that because I've gotten had on these live streams before. I am a world traveler. I like to go places, and I've been duped before on saying yes to something that I didn't understand what the question was. I do not know what a Dumont is. So I am not going to put my foot in my mouth here. Gary, do you know what he's talking about? Stand by.
No clue. No clue.
Oh, I see. So the governor of the team is Patrick Dumont. So I don't know if that's probably linked in some way, shape, or form to this question. Of course, Patrick Dumont was instrumental in, along with Nico Harrison, trading away Luka Doncic, which did not directly bring about the first pick overall, which became Cooper Flagg, but the fact that they were lousy after they traded Luka, they essentially tanked and won the lottery. I think it was rigged, and the NBA gave them the first overall pick as part of the deal to send Luka to LA. But I'm sure this is somehow tied in with Patrick Dumont, who is the governor of the team. But go ahead, Gary, did you want to add something to that? No? Okay. Let's keep it moving because, boy, I sure am tired. Actually, let me jump ahead, though, because Dusan Lilik, if I didn't destroy that, who was in up above and did not post anything, did post something then later down with a generous donation. So I want to just jump real quick down to Dusan Lilik -149. Gary, what's the question or comment from them?
Huge respect, Skap. We have same mindset for basketball, like 100%. I have recommendation for you to watch Jokic documentary, Serbian production, called Man Who Baked Difference, or I am not trying to pronounce that. Man Who Make Difference.
I'm going to screenshot that right now. So I will store that. I will definitely look into that. You've got my word on that. I'm very interested in looking into that and watching that. So thank you very much for that recommendation. I'll talk. Maybe I'll do something on it once I watch it. Either talk about it here or do a video or something like that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And again, thank you for tuning in so much and for supporting me. And obviously, you're a big Nikola Jokic guy, as am I. So that will likely never change. I'll be here. He's one of the guys that I protect. So like him and Kobe basically are the slandered ones that I really go to bat for time in and time again. So all the ammunition I can get. So I will certainly look into that documentary. All right, let's hop back up. If Cooper Flagg, okay, we did that one. Next in would be, go ahead, Gary.
Okay, I text, go back to the Cooper Flagg Dumont one. I'm texting you something.
Okay.
Here we go. I just found a photo of Patrick Dumont in his hair. I'm texting it to you so you can look at it.
Okay.
Did it not go through?
I got it just now. Yeah, no. The answer is no to that. BPM. I will not be getting that haircut. That's a hard no, a definitive pass. He basically, he looks like, who's the
Dumb and Dumber? He looks like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber almost.
That or the owner of the Raiders, Davis's kid.
Oh my goodness.
Mark Davis or whatever. Yeah. Yes, no, the answer is no. That's a hard pass on that haircut. Okay, next up we've got Jamirta 2025 or Jamrita. I'm not sure. I'm going to call you Jam. Thank you so much for your generous donation and for whatever this question or comment is, which I'm excited to get. Go ahead, Gary, and read it for us.
Skap, much respect, sir. How would my 2003 champion Spurs fare against my 2026 Spurs in a 7-game series?
Great question. Honestly, Gary, maybe you can confirm this. I think of that team as maybe their worst title team in the Duncan tenure of the 5 that they won. Would you agree or disagree with me on that?
Disagree.
Okay.
They beat Kobe and Shaq in the second round. I mean, they were the one that dethroned their three-peat. And they had
yes, but
they had second year Tony Parker, they had rookie Ginobili, David Robinson on his last year, Tim Duncan, Speedy Claxton was the backup to Tony Parker. He was really good. Steve Kerr was a veteran sharpshooter. They had Steven Jackson. That team was loaded. I would say that 2017 was probably their worst team because to be honest, that was a pretty easy chip. I mean, they played Cleveland, inexperienced Cleveland in the finals. The Mavericks got knocked out early. They faced like the 8th-seeded Warriors because the Mavericks got upset by the Warriors, and then they played like the Jazz, who were just like a decent second-round opponent. So they had a pretty easy walk in 2007. 2003, though, like I said, they had to beat the Kobe Shaq Lakers. They dethroned them. And then in 2004, the Lakers went back and got destroyed by the Pistons in the finals. So they still had a tough opponent in the Kobe Shaq Lakers.
I'm not look. That was they're coming off of a three-peat. That was back when the NBA was different. It was harder. Playing 3 straight years into the finals took a toll on those guys back then. Kobe tore his labrum in his shooting arm in the first round that year, so he wasn't quite right in that series. I think the Lakers were ripe to be picked off that year. Look, that year was the year David Robinson was done in 2003. He was 37. He scored 8 points per game. He played only 64 games that year in the regular season. He played all 23 games in the playoffs, scored only 8 points in the playoffs. And you just answered. Tony Parker was 20 years old. You know, like you just highlighted it. Like they were all very young. So like David Robinson was done, and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili were like at the beginning. So like, I mean, Manu Ginobili was rookie of the year that year, Gary, or fourth and rookie of the year that year. He scored 7 points per game in the regular season. Tony Parker scored 15 points per game in the regular season.
It's not about the points. It's about the chemistry of the team. And Tim Duncan, 2003, Tim Duncan would destroy 2026 Wembanyama. It wouldn't even be close. It's like what Jokic does to Wemby. Duncan would be doing that to Wemby.
I wasn't saying that the Spurs would beat them this year. I'm just saying that to me was their least good title team. But we could just agree to disagree with that on that. I still think, Jim Rita, I still believe that the Duncan team would win against this team. This Spurs team is too young, too inexperienced. I would say maybe that this 2026 team would get maybe 1 or 2 games. Like they wouldn't get swept, but it certainly wouldn't be a 7er. I would have the Duncan 03 team to beating this. Now, who knows? In like 4 or 5 more years, who knows how good this Spurs team might be? We could reignite this conversation maybe then. All right, John O'Ratcliffe back in yet again. John, my goodness, what a night from you! This has been quite a performance. Obviously, the chat never wants me to sleep at all, ever again. I was expecting this to be like a kind of a light night for me. I am absolutely wiped and exhausted. But I must persevere on. I must carry through all of these comments from you guys until we get to the end. So John, thank you. I will keep answering all of your questions. Gary, what is this? What does this latest one from John say?
If there's ever a hybrid player of Jordan and Kobe combined of all of their best traits, how screwed is the NBA in terms of balance?
Well, I mean, they're basically clones of each other. So just basically, if another Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant comes along, I mean, I guess you would have to say Kobe was a clone of Jordan since Jordan came first and Jordan was older. But basically, just if another Kobe Bryant comes along, another Michael Jordan, a guy who is the singular best offensive force in the game by far, who is also an elite perennial first team All NBA defensive player with a killer alpha mindset that wants to humiliate and destroy their opponents. Well, the NBA is screwed because those guys were already great champions and prolific winners when they played in eras surrounded by other alphas and great players. Now today, there are basically no alphas left. So if that dude would come along today, yeah, they'd run the league. They'd win like 10 championships probably. Okay, is that VVUC or WUC? My eyes are just playing tricks on me.
VV,
V. VVUC, welcome into you. Thank you for being here. And Gary, from Poland. Shout out to you. Welcome in. I love to hear what markets you guys are coming from. And I do have an international appeal here in the Skap After Dark live stream. So thank you, VVUC, and shout out to you in Poland. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Gary, what's the question or comment?
Just saying before I read it, this is not true, Jay. This is not true. This is false. So don't panic. Hi, Scott. Big fan from Poland. Been watching you for 3 years now. I hope you reach 100,000 soon. But honestly, LeBron retiring might happen faster. Again, I reiterate, that's not true.
Who knows? Because I have been at quite a plateau as of late, VVUC. I don't understand it. I've talked about it a few times here. I don't want to get into like a soft fest. Oh, boo-hoo. Skap can't get to 100. But like, you know, I've done this. Thank you for being here 3 years with me, by the way, because I've been here for 3 years. I've been doing this for 3 years now. The first full year that I was on, I gained about 34,000 subscribers. So the first 6 months, I got monetized in the middle of a year, basically. And I only had like 600 subscribers in the middle of the year when I first got monetized. I got about 15,000 subscribers in that half year. Then the first full year that I was doing this, I got like 34,000 subs. Then I got the next full year, 34,000 subs ish. So like almost a little over 33,000 both years, and 15,000 the first half year. So basically on pacing to go 30, 30, 30 essentially. And yet now in the calendar year of 2026, which is by far tracking to be my best year by far in views. The subscriber count right now in 2026 is 5,000. And I am in the 5th month. So I am on pace basically to get around 14,000 subscribers this year. Make it make sense, YouTube. 30,000 subs pacing year 1. 30,000 pacing year 2. 30,000 pacing year 3. 14 pacing now in year. When I have more views than ever before. Make it make sense. So VVUC, you're right. Maybe LeBron will retire and if LeBron does retire, that likely would get me to 100K. All right. So Giuseppe is back in next. Again, I should say, welcome back in, Giuseppe. Go ahead. I'll take this one real quick. Kobe could average 30 today wearing Crocs. I believe that might be the case. Like he could average 40 easily if he wanted to, while being first team All NBA and playing 80 or 77 plus games every year. If he really wanted to, he could easily do it. So perhaps he could drop 30 in Crocs for a full 82 game season. Giuseppe, I wouldn't count it out. I would never count the Black Mamba out. All right, Ruthless Raider, 78, back in again. Go ahead, Gary. I think I direction of this question already. Go ahead, Gary.
Who is your and Gary's favorite comic book character, and which one of the two would win in a fight to the death?
Well, let's hear yours first, Gary. I want to hear yours before. Oh, Gary, you don't like comic books, do you? Okay, so Gary can't really answer this, unfortunately.
I'll say this. I like to actually like read little comic strips that I just see online at times, like Peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes. I like
mine
Snoopy
would win.
and Woodstock.
Mine would win in a fight, Ruthless Raider, 78.
If you've got a superhero villain against Snoopy, then yes. Now Woodstock, on the other hand, Woodstock might beat your superhero, but I don't know about Snoopy.
The three definitive favorite superheroes of my life. The Wolverine has been a mainstay basically my whole life. So I've liked the Wolverine at every stage. When I was young, when I was a younger adult, when I was a young kid, when I was a younger adult, now that I'm an old man, I have always liked the Wolverine, Logan from the X-Men series, obviously. When I was a young child and a little kid, Spider-Man was my favorite superhero because he's a kid, right? Like Peter Parker is typically depicted as like a high schooler. I believe he's a high school freshman when he's bit by the radioactive spider at first. So, of course, when I was a little kid, I identified with the kid hero. As I got older, Batman became my favorite hero, and I identified with the Bat because, you know, he's like the most realistic, true to life type hero. And the older Bat in particular, now as I've gotten much older, like in the graphic novels, like the Dark Knight Returns novel, the like older like alcoholic Bruce Wayne addicted to painkillers, like that starts killing people too randomly, or killing villains essentially. I really like that Bat as I get older and older and older. So, but the three favorite definitive heroes that I've liked throughout the different phases of my life have been Spider-Man, Batman, and the Wolverine, to answer your question. And all three of them would kick Gary's comic books characters' asses. All three of them.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
Well, that's great. That's great that you think Wolverine can beat Woodstock. But now, I don't like comic books. Now, I like some of the cartoons when I was a kid. I used to love He-Man. I also used to watch The Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby. Shout out to that. That's an all-time classic show. So my favorite characters would be Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, and the Hulk. But as far as comic books go themselves, I don't like physical comic books. But I like some of the cartoons and the movies. The Dark Knight trilogy from Christopher Nolan is the best superhero trilogy movies made of all time thus far. Probably followed by Watchmen, I would say, is the closest to it. I don't really care for the Avengers that much. Those movies, I mean. I didn't care for a lot of the other comic book style movies, even though Captain America Winter Soldier was pretty good. Captain America is also a pretty good. And if you want to say the best villain, I think Jay and I would both agree, there's no one touching the Joker. Most intriguing superhero villain character of all time.
Probably both in written comic book, because I did read comic books growing up, and in the movie, because the Joker was a perfect foil to the Batman, like the villain that most and best fits his hero and brings out the best or the worst in some instances in the hero would be the Joker. And the Joker and Batman actually weirdly, like, they have almost like they almost love each other to some degree too. Like they because they really do need each other. Like the Dark Knight movie was so great because it did really capture the relationship between the two of them. Like Batman just won't kill the Joker, and the Joker just needs. And Gary, you don't read comic books, but there is a time where the Joker is pursuing Batman and he's knocked unconscious, and that the henchmen are going to unmask him and kill Batman, and the Joker kills his henchmen instead and leaves Batman unharmed, like with his mask on, because he needs him. He has to have him. So like that when they sit down in the interrogation room in the Dark Knight film, it really is just, it does capture the relationship so well, but of the two characters. So yes, I would agree with you on that, on the Joker for sure. Okay, next in, Le President returns again. Thank you, Le President, for whatever the fourth or fifth time you've been in here. Gary, what is the question this time?
Can you rank the following players: Moses Malone, Dr. J, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Kevin Durant, Jokic, and Giannis, likely your 13 through 20 spots?
Yeah, these players are all stacked on top of each other, so it's very difficult. I did do Le President. I did a top 10 all-time list, which is one of my best videos on my platform. I would urge you to go find it. It's a 30-minute video on the top 10, and it justifies my rankings for them. Maybe what I do is I put together a video 11 through 20, and I make like a little addition or a next in that series, and I talk about my actual definitive rankings specifically from 11 through 20. But off the top of my head, don't hold me to this if I make that video, but just looking at these players that you've listed, I think probably Dr. J is like a fringe, like Dr. J might be a fringe top 10. Like he didn't get in my top 10 on that video, but he's very close. I mentioned him in the, like, he could have a case maybe for top 10. So probably Dr. J would be the next player that I list on there. I would then probably go, I would do probably Jokic next. I probably would. And then for me, probably West next, then Giannis, then Malone, then Robertson, then Durant. That would probably be top of my head, but maybe I didn't go high enough on Moses. Maybe I would want Moses Malone to be a little bit higher on that ranking. It's tough. That's tough. I can tell you this: Kevin Durant is definitively the last of those players, and Dr. J would be the first. So I hope that helps, and maybe keep an eye out for maybe a ranking 11 through 20 video coming out sometime in the summer. All right, go ahead, Gary.
Shout out to the chat. I'm putting a link to Skap's top 10 players of all time in the chat. So check that video out when you get a chance.
Thanks, Gary. And then I already covered this one from Dusan. Shout out to you again, and I will be looking into that that documentary. Okay, next, Wolfsbane is back in. Go ahead, Gary, and read this one for us.
Celtics HR, including playoffs, 86, 50-1, 87, 48-3.
That's insane. So back-to-back years, they lost 4 games at home. Like they were 98-4 in back-to-back years. That really is crazy. Yeah, that was a great team. It really was a great team. Probably the best front court ever when you look at Bird, Parrish, and McHale. Best front court ever. I don't have any issue saying that. One of the best teams ever. All right. Jim Rita is back in. Hopefully I'm not destroying that. Jim Rita 2025. Jam, what's up? Welcome back to you. Thank you so much. Gary, what's the question or comment this time?
Skap, can you make more videos giving 5-time champion, 2-time MVP Tim Duncan, who won 5 titles in 3 different decades? Oddly enough, Kobe and Timmy combined for 10.
Again, look at that. Watch the video that Gary just linked. My top 10 all time. I've got Kobe 2 all time, Tim Duncan 4 all time. Those are my 2 of my 4 Mount Rushmore players. It really is incredible that those two, they really are. It was like Bird and Magic, only if Bird and Magic were in the same freaking conference. That's what it was for 20 years. Like if either one of the other one didn't exist, the other guy would have like 9 or 10 rings. Think that over. They both got 5 rings each. Kobe went to 7, Duncan went to 6. They went to 13 finals and won 10 of them in a 20-year overlap where they were both there for the whole time in the same conference. Just crazy that like those either one of them would have had at least look, maybe not all 10, but they probably would have had 8, either one, if the other one didn't exist. So really 2 of the all-time greatest players, in my estimation, 2 of the 4 greatest. Go ahead, Gary.
There was a 12-year period where 9 of the championships came through the Lakers or Spurs. Think about that. 12-year period, 9 championships were Lakers or Spurs, were Duncan or Kobe. 9 out of 12 years. Pretty
wild stuff. Ruthless is in next. Go ahead, Gary. From his mouth to God's ears, I need some sleep. Go ahead with this one.
Try and get some sleep, Skap. Go watch some LeBum lowlights.
I won't even need him, brother. Once my head touches pillow, I am out. Well, I first have to take my dog out to the bathroom, of course. Okay, next in, Giuseppe DeRosa back in. Go ahead, Gary.
Good night, Skap. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. But John is still here. John prides himself in never letting me sleep during these live streams. I remember this. That was a big role that he played last year, is as I was on death's door in terms of my like delirium setting in from lack of sleep. John would just continue to send in more and more super chats. So he's back, and I like this because this is a joker. This is a joker one. So go ahead, Gary, and read this one from John.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. You complete me.
The exact and again, that really does just touch right to the heart of the relationship between the Bat and the Joker in the comics, and Nolan did it so well. That was one of my big problems with 89. Like growing up as a huge comic book nerd in the 90s, I was born in the mid 80s. I loved obviously Batman 89 with Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne / Bat, and then Nicholson as Joker. But like they got it all wrong. Like they had the relationship all wrong. Like the Joker's primary impetus in that movie, or his goal, was to kill the Batman. And Batman does kill the Joker in that movie. Like, so they got it all wrong. So Christopher Nolan just nailed the relationship between them in The Dark Knight. And that movie is still, to me, the best superhero movie ever made. Though, Gary, I do also love The Winter Soldier. That is a very, very good. I think that is maybe my favorite Marvel movie. Or I also like Civil War, both Captain America ones. So the Captain America trilogy is also very good.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good as well. That Dark Knight, Winter Soldier trilogy, and Watchmen, I think, was also very good.
Yeah, The Watchmen was solid, and I loved the book, The Watchmen. I actually read it's a graphic novel. So it's basically an adult comic book. That's what a graphic novel is. The Watchmen is maybe my second favorite graphic novel behind, I mentioned it earlier, The Dark Knight Returns. But I actually read The Watchmen well before the movie came out, and the movie did it justice. They truncated it a little. They changed the villain a little bit. Well, look, it was always Ozymandias or whatever, however you say it. That was always the guy that was behind it, but it was he frames Dr. Manhattan in the movie, whereas in the book he actually deploys a team of scientists and artists, and he creates like an alien invasion, and he kills like 80,000 people in various big cities around the world, and essentially frames it on this alien species, and knowing that the human race, who was on the verge of obliterating each other in a world war, that the only thing that would make them unite was to come together to fight a common force or a common threat like extraterrestrials. So it was a much more detailed plot than it was. But again, we're talking, the movie was already 3 hours. It would have been much longer if they kept the actual plot of the novel. So I do not begrudge them for changing that element of it.
Did you ever watch the Incredible Hulk TV series with Bill Bixby? It was late
With
70s, early 80s. Bill Bixby. He played David Banner. And Lou Ferrigno played.
So not the one with Lou Ferrigno, the bodybuilder.
Yeah. Did you ever watch
that
show?
One? Yeah, I watched the Lou Ferrigno one. Yeah.
I thought it was very well done, especially for back then. I'm not saying the effects. Obviously, we have better effects now, but the prosthetic Lou Ferrigno, that was fat. He looked fascinating. So much better than CGI. Did you catch the episode where there was a second Hulk, like a bluish looking one?
I believe I'm familiar with the episode. I mean, I am a little bit younger than you, Gary, but
right.
So I watched it, but my memory isn't
right. But I mean, it's anyways. The other Hulk, it was very fascinating, and he was actually evil. And he looked really scary with the prosthetics, not cheap like CGI. We'll go ahead and move on to the next super chat.
BPM is just thanking us for the show tonight. Thank you, BPM. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys tuning in and being here and supporting me through these shows. It's a lot of fun this time of the year. I do want to do like some kind of a show, maybe like in the daytime for me. Moving forward, it's something I've been wanting to do for like a year now. I've been talking to Gary about it. Not sure what kind of viewership or consistent viewership that we could bank on if we change the time. But at least for the postseason, I do love just doing these late night live streams immediately following the game. So I do love that this time of the year with you guys. So something that means a lot to me. So thank you. And finally, Giuseppe DeRosa is saying it's not just John that keeps us on, that continually sends us comments, keeps us on here, and keeps me out of my bed and my head off of my pillow. It's also Giuseppe, which is very true, Giuseppe. You are consistently sending these comments in as well. So luckily, Xavier DeGod wasn't in these comments tonight, or in the sponsor area tonight, because had he been, we would probably have like 10 more and we would still be on. And now, speaking of regulars and someone sponsoring the stream here, Cuse Mode Jimbo, an OG, someone that was, I believe, on the very, very first Skap Live After Dark last year as well, and has been along for the whole ride as well, is now also in, which is Super Chat number 62 tonight. Thank you very much, Cuse Mode Jimbo. Gary, this is a longer one. I will turn it over to you to read this one.
Cannot wait to see who comes out of this Cavs Pistons series just to get smoked like rolled weed by the Knicks. Go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go New York, go. Is that the Vanilla Ice Go New York Go song from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze? Is that what that reference is, Cuse Mode? I don't know if it is or isn't, or if it's just the fact that it's,
no, they just said it in New York, and then the Bulls mocked them because they said at the pep rally when the Bulls won a championship after beating the Knicks, they said, go New York, go New York, go. Yep, they're gone.
There is also a Go New York, go New York, go. I'm looking at some YouTube video for it, and there's like, I think that's Mikal Bridges and some other player dancing to it. I'm gonna have to watch this at some point. No, wait. The song written and performed by American entrepreneur, author, and songwriter, rapper Jesse Itzler. I'm gonna have to look into this.
I think Vanilla Ice came later with the Go Ninja thing later. I think
you're right. You're
80s,
right. That's
90s.
what it was. It was a takeoff of the Go New York Go song, and it was for just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, and it was Go Ninja Go. It was a takeoff of the Go New York Go song. Very good. You're right, Gary. I'm gonna have to.
I don't know if that was ripping off New York, because that was common in the early 90s. It was like go, 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 and like half the rap songs that came out, that was very mainstream. So that was just a product of the culture of that time period.
I'm gonna have to look into this Go New York Go. So this one with Jesse Itzler. I'm gonna have to look into this. And
well, what
promoter
about
Dana
are you gonna
Mozzie.
look into? What about Go Spurs Go? Go Spurs Go. It's just a common thing.
Yeah, I'll have to. But anyway, Cuse Mode, to your point, your Knicks are on one right now. I've been talking about them all along in this postseason. They breaking all-time NBA records for differential through 10 games. I think they do buzzsaw whoever comes out of this. I don't think they wouldn't sweep the Cavs. I think the Cavs get one game, maybe two, probably one. The Pistons, I do not think would fare well in a series against the Knicks. And then who knows? The way they're playing they're playing like this, lights out into the finals. If they can keep this rolling through, if the Spurs upset OKC, that's going to be a toss-up of a series. I think OKC, not a great matchup for your Knicks, but who knows? The way your Knicks are playing, the role they're on right now, hell, maybe they could just run the whole thing and win your first chip since, I think, 73. And, of course, John Ratcliffe has got to have another last word in. Go ahead, Gary. He's got a funny story for us. Gary, go ahead.
Funny story, and I'm done tonight. The dude was talking to his girl on the phone today, and she was getting it while they talked. He got maced. Hilarious.
I can't even, I'm trying to wrap my tired head around this. She was talking to a girl on his phone today, and she was getting it while they talked. He got maced. Well, I mean, I've never actually seen anyone maced in person, or tased for that matter. I've never received a tasing or a macing either. Thank goodness, knock on wood. Let me just hope that remains to be the case. But yeah, I mean, I think that would probably be funny to see. I would probably like to see someone get maced or tased at some point in my life. I wouldn't call it, John, a bucket list for me, but I certainly wouldn't look away if it went down in front of me. And thank you for sharing that story, John. And again, John, thank you for all of your generous donations tonight and for being here. Thank all of you guys for being here. It has been a weirdly lengthy night. I was not expecting that long of a show tonight. Figured I'd get in for like 60 to 90 minutes, maybe talk about the game for about 30, hit a couple comments and then get out. But you guys had other plans tonight for me. And I do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, all the generosity, support. I do just want to have Luna say hello to you guys. She's very tired as well. She works very hard as well on these shows with me. Because she is my producer. So she does all the videos. She works on all the videos tirelessly as well with me. So it's been a very rough April and March as well, or March and April and May for her as well. So we definitely are in some dire need of sleep, but Cusmo Jimbo is back in again. Gary, go ahead with Cusmo Jimbo's question or comment here.
On another note, how about them Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah, I love the NHL playoffs. And I love the MLB playoffs too. I don't watch any NHL or MLB regular season, but I love both of them in the postseason. So I've kind of been rooting for I'm from Pittsburgh, so the Penguins, but they went out sad as hell. They lost to the Flyers, I think, in 6 to start this postseason. I did not know what's going on with the Sabres. If it was something tonight, they typically talking about. I know the Avalanche were playing tonight. The Avalanche won 4-3 in overtime. Looks like that was a good game. The Sabres play tomorrow night, and that series is tied 2-2 against the Canadiens. So, Hughes Mode, I'm interested it seems like you might be somewhere on the East Coast as well. So you're up late with us, obviously. So thanks for sticking it out here with us this late. Although 2:30 actually isn't that bad, I guess. I was hoping to be in bed by 1:30 tonight, but you know what they say about the best laid plans of mice and men. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to quickly log off here before I get another super chat in here, and I have to stay up even later. Little Luna needs to get out to the bathroom, and then we need to go to bed. And I will catch all of you guys. Not tomorrow. I am going to take tomorrow off. Gary and I will not be on. There are no NBA games on tomorrow, so I will be resting all day tomorrow, and I will get a nice, good night's sleep and be totally rested for the doubleheader on Friday, 2 Game 6s. Gary and I will be back, Skap Live After Dark, to unpack all of them and go in whichever direction with the comments that you guys want to on that night. So I will see all of you guys in 2 days. So until then, have a great night.